Alrighty, we're on. So, Janice, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Johnny Yaps?
I'll bring that closer.
Yeah.
So, I guess the first thing I need to ask about is where did the Ling Ling nickname come from?
I feel like that's just a long-standing racist nickname
Oh, okay.
that's stuck, yeah. But people generally ask if that's my real name or like, is that my that's my Asian name. But I think I actually don't even know where it came from because it was like, I think it's literally a generic racist Asian nickname. Actually, no, there is a story, I think. I used to be into motorcycles.
Motorcycles?
Yeah, and I had a little two-stroke 125 race bike, and they make that noise. The two strokes go like ling, 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 and like people are like, oh, it sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like you. And so I actually think that's where it came from. And then it just stuck.
Okay.
It's like a bit of a tangent.
Okay, so
Yeah.
how old were you when you had this little 125 two-stroke? It was a dirt bike, right? Motocross bike?
No. It was just like, it was a track bike, like it was a race bike.
Oh, okay. Was it
Yeah.
an Aprilia RS125?
It was a Honda RS125, yeah.
Okay.
I wish I had a Aprilia 125, but no. That was short-lived, I feel like. I wasn't great at racing it
But were you okay at riding?
or riding the two-stroke.
Yeah.
I feel like because it would take practice, but yeah.
Okay.
It's hard to practice, I think, because if it's a track bike, you have to go to the track.
Yeah.
And you can't ride the bikes on the road to get to the track, so it's, yeah.
So how deep did you get into motorbikes? Was this just like a phase, or was it just one of those things where it's just like...
It was deep. I mean, whatever. I tend to get deep into something and then move on when I sort of let the admin side of it get in the way and I can no longer do it. That's literally what happened. I think, yeah, I'd like to ride bikes again, but now I don't even have a driver's license. So
What?
I'm a public transport wanker.
Okay. So, whoa. So how, did you lose your license? Is that why? Or
I did at one point, yeah.
was this when you were riding or when you were driving?
When I was riding.
Okay.
Oh, I've never gotten my driver's license really. I used to ride.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you only had your motorbike license?
Yes.
Okay.
Because it seemed pointless to do both.
Wow. Okay. That is like I think that would be an absolute rarity nowadays. Like most people, well, I guess maybe with the I guess with the younger generation now, a lot of them probably delay getting their license because it's convenient to like Uber everywhere or whatever. But
I mean, that's what I do now.
Yeah.
But it's not convenient, but at the same time, if like, I feel like someone like me who just doesn't like, I don't like doing stuff I don't see the value, like say like paying bills, paying for petrol, like paying for things I don't want to pay for. I mean, I feel like I would get annoyed if I had a car. Firstly, you have to pay for the car, which I feel like is expensive. It's usually more expensive than a bike. Then you have to pay for all like the admin, like the rego, the CTP, parking, petrol. Like honestly, that stuff's in Sydney. Everyone makes fun of me for not driving.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why I cop this shit, but I feel like in Sydney, lots of people don't drive, or it's like somewhat more economical to not drive.
Yeah.
Well, or like even ride a motorcycle or scooter or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had my bike license as well. And the reason why, I guess I always loved bikes as well, but it was just one of those things. I remember when I was in high school and I used to walk to the shops and like and it was retarded, right? Like when I say walk to the shops, like it was like, so from where where I lived with my parents to get to Castle Towers, so I was in Borkham Hills. I was in the next suburb.
Oh, you were like in the hills. That's like
and so,
somewhere.
But like basically the walk, like if you drove, it might be like a 15-minute drive. But when you walk, it's like an hour.
Oh yeah.
And I just remember like, when I used to like walk down the footpath and I'd be like, one day I'll have a motorbike or something, and I'll just like, I'm just like imagining myself riding this motorbike when I'm just walking down the footpath like a pleb.
Yeah.
But that was, one of the things, like I guess, when I got older and I had the opportunity to get on a bike, it was, I did it, right?
Yeah. What did you ride?
So the bike I did my L's test, my P's test on was a CBR 125. CBR 250, a Honda CBR 250.
Okay. Because I did mine. I had a CBR 125 to start with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had an Aprilia RS 250.
Oh, nice.
So they're a beautiful bike, but it's just so inconvenient. When I say inconvenient, right? Apart from being two-stroke, and so like, So the RS125 used to have a push button start, but the 250 was a kick start.
Oh.
Right? So not only would people be looking at you like, look at this fucking idiot, like kickstarting this motorbike, but when they turn over, because they're two-stroke, they're pouring out smoke.
Yeah.
Right? So then it was like, I'd ride to the city and then I'd sort of feel a bit embarrassed, when I was like, time to leave or whatever, and I've kicked over this bike and like it's just billowing smoke out. Like people go, is your bike all right? Like they think, because they don't know it's two-stroke.
And it smells.
I like the smell.
I like the smell too.
Yeah.
But like, I actually would have loved your bike. I love the Aprilia, like 125 and 250s.
Yep.
I never actually have I ridden. I don't know. Not sure actually if I've ridden one, but yeah. I think it would be a hassle, but like I thought it was very cool.
Yeah.
Like,
the RS250. I actually, like they're worth quite they've gone up in value. And they're not exorbitant, but like from what I paid like 7.5 for mine at the time. And I looked only maybe like a year ago and I was like, oh, I wonder how much they go for now. And I found one and it was like 15 grand. I'm like, oh wow,
really?
it's like doubled in value.
I think are two-strokes not allowed anymore?
I think people just look at you funny because you just...
No, I think they're like banned in, like, I actually don't know the truth of this, but if because I used to be so into bikes, I used to see bike, like, when you're like, you're interested in something, you see the thing everywhere.
All the time. Yep.
And then after a while, because I'm not really doing it myself, I'm not really noticing. However, I used to notice there were so many of those, like the NSR 150s, two-strokes, like Aprilias even, but now like I never see them.
Yeah.
I actually feel like they're not allowed. Like I wouldn't put it past Sydney laws to have banned two-strokes.
Yeah, I don't think you'd buy them for a road bike anymore. I think,
well, I mean, yeah, for a road bike, I wouldn't.
Yeah, I don't think you can get them as road bikes anymore. You can still get a couple. I think there's probably still a two-stroke dirt bikes around, but most of them have gone to four-stroke now. And yeah, like it was just one of those things. Every time I used to kick it over and see all the smoke come out, like I didn't mind it, but like, other people just look at you and just go like,
I used to love that like obnoxious noise. I don't know.
Ding, 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 ding,
Yes,
ding, ding,
yeah.
ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. That was exactly like ling ling.
Yeah.
Ling 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 ling.
So what, you'd roll up to somebody somewhere and then people would just say, oh, that sound like,
To be fair, I couldn't ride it. It could only be ridden at the track because I couldn't ride it on the road.
Oh, okay. So you got
that's
it as
why
a track
like
bike.
the only times I could ride it were at a race or a track day, which is why I was terrible at riding it.
Okay.
I never got practice.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's a pretty big step to just go and decide, okay, I want to get into bikes, and then you like buy a track bike.
it was literally like a race bike.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. I just I feel like I like doing things. Now I'm very demotivated, but I used to be just like, oh, that's the coolest thing. I'll just do that. But then, yeah, I think the more challenging or like the cooler it seems to me, the more it's appealing. Obviously, yeah.
Yeah. So and were you always that way? Like, was that like so? Like when you say you got into motorbikes pretty heavily, was there other things that like along the way that you got obsessed with? If obsessed is the right word.
Well, martial arts, I guess.
Yeah.
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 But like, I feel like I think the obsession, it's so time consuming that it kind of like, it's hard for me. I'd focus too much on the one thing and then it's like, oh, I forgot about this one other thing that I was supposed to like work on. And yeah, but I feel like, I'm interested in a lot of things. Went through a skydiving phase.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So yeah, did you get certified to do your own jumps and stuff?
See, just like a lot of things in my life, I did it almost to completion and then I stopped.
Yeah.
Which really pissed me off.
What? Okay, so let's. I want to talk about skydiving first because first of all, for anybody that hasn't done it, so I've only done like one tandem skydive and it was a pretty amazing feeling, right? Like you sort of for me what happened was like I'm up in this plane and I can't remember what number I was to go out the door, but they sit you on the edge and then when it's tandem you sort of don't really you can't really stop yourself from going out the plane because the guy behind you is just like, all right, here we go, 1, 2, 3, and suddenly you're outside this plane. Yeah. Right? And I remember the initial rush of like, oh yeah, like
Yeah, it's so cool.
Yeah, and then suddenly it's like you sort of see like what for me it was like you fall out the plane and I saw the plane like. Yeah, that ain't coming back. Like the plane's gone.
Yeah, actually, I feel like it's cool to see that you fall away from the plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they they flip you over sort of a thing, and then you're looking down at the ground. You go, oh, that's the world looks quite small, and then
Yeah,
it's getting
yeah.
closer and closer very quickly, and then they pull the chute, and poof, it sort of pulls you back,
Yeah.
and then you get to sort of cruise around a little bit, pulling the controls, and then you land, and then that was basically it. And
Yeah.
yeah. So what was your
Very cool.
where did you do your first skydive experience?
Can't remember. Like the place, Picton, actually, I think.
Yep.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I think that's where
Maybe
I did
it's
it too.
Picton. That's where there's an airfield.
Yep.
But actually, I think I did it because I'm scared of heights. So I was like, what's a good way to like get rid of this fear?
Mm.
So, well, I like to go do a skydiving course, and then it leads me to become certified in skydive. And I had a friend who was game to do it. So we're like, oh, let's just both do it. So I just booked this course. I think it's like a 2-day course. And then at the end, you get included, like, if you pass the theory, it's actually like it's kind of like those things where they try and encourage you to pass. But I think if you really are that bad, you won't pass, because if you are really that terrible at the theory or like the exercises they make you do, you'll probably die. So they can't actually just pass you, they can't just tick all the boxes, and like, I feel like you need to actually show that you could possibly, like, you can actually go through a skydive, like solo skydive. So like at the end of the thing, it's included, I think it was one skydive included. And then after that, if you want to do, I think there's 10 levels you have to get through, which is theoretically 10 jumps if you pass each level. So you do level 1, and they require you to go through a series of steps. So level 1 is like, you are, I can't remember. It's not a tandem skydive. You jump yourself, but you have 2 instructors who are holding you.
Okay.
So like while you're in free fall, they stop you from, catapulting through space, or like if you lose control, they're there to help.
Yeah.
And then but you still have to complete this series of steps in order to pass the level. So like while you're at, I think it's like 14,000 feet, you start jumping, like the first jump. And within free fall, so before you pull the chute, you have to complete like whatever, like scan the horizon, check the altimeter, do this, do that, whatever, look left, look right, arch your back. And every step, the instructors have to like give you a thumbs up that you did it before you move on. And then I think that takes place within about a minute. Then you have to pull your chute because you hit a certain altitude. Then once you pull your chute, the instructors fall away. So you have to land the parachute yourself, which is like really cool. And then it gets hard. So if you do all that well enough, they pass you and you can move to step 2, and they give you different things to do.
Okay.
So like each step you have different skills that you have to pass, and it gets harder and harder. So, and then I can't remember how many levels is like, like at first it's like 2 instructors, and then you go 1 instructor's just jumping with you, holding you.
Yeah.
And then there's another one where, how like you jump out the side of the plane. So there's different, it's actually like super cool. So there's different levels. One of the levels you have to like climb out onto the railing and fall back.
Oh, wow.
So it's like really scary. It's like, it's actually like incredibly cool, because then you see the plane fall away. There's another level where you're in the back of like one of those, I don't know what they're called, like aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
And you go out the back. So it's like those I don't know if you've seen like movies, like there's a bunch of people that fall out the back. Yeah, it's like that.
Yeah.
So it's like super cool, but it's like incredibly scary because you have to like walk up or crawl up to the back to the opening. It's big like opening, and like throw yourself out of the plane. It's like sick. It's really cool. But then like, there was one level, I think I had one instructor. And so you throw your chute. So the parachute is just like the mechanism to throw the chute it's this ball, and then when it comes time, you have to grab the ball, and the actual like cue is punch. So you go grab it, like punch, and the chute will like come out, and like whatever, like the parachute will come out. So like the instructor is like, okay, you can move to like throw the chute. So I go like grab the ball, punch, and like I punched her in the face, like really hard. Like I didn't know, it's like free fall.
So
but I couldn't feel it, but the instruction was punch. And then she like circled to the front, and her whole face is like covered in blood. So there's like blood flying everywhere. It's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? Like, what happened? She's like, it's okay. Like, imagine keeping your cool. I feel like, what if I knocked her out by accident? Oh my God, like, what I would be so freaked out. I wouldn't even probably would not have noticed until she maybe like floated away.
She's still going down. You're
Yeah,
like
she's like,
wait, is she gonna pull the chute?
she's like, she looks like to be dropping it. She's like, I don't know, hurtling through space. I don't know. I'll just sort of continue with what I'm doing. But then I would probably have been like, well, I still need her to give me a thumbs up before I do the next thing. So I'm just going to like fall until I die. But that was weird. Like when I got to the ground, I was like, oh my God, like, I'm so sorry. Like she was like, you punched me in the face. It's like, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I was just throwing the chute. I couldn't see you. She's like, no. It's my fault for moving there right next to you when you're going to throw your chute. And I was like, fair. But still,
Yeah.
it could
You
have
feel
been
bad,
really
right?
bad. Like her
Yeah.
nose was bleeding everywhere. But yeah, that was very funny. And
So-
I think like the first jump, I like, because it was right at the end of the course, like we were given the option to like come back because it was like almost sunset. But they're like, oh, does anyone want to just do their first jump now? Me and my friend were like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it now. And so we went and did it. It was getting dusk. My eyesight is bad. So like, I'm just like the worst, most typical Asian. Like my eyesight's just poor. I had contacts at the time, but I think they weren't good. Like, so I would be, you have to like look at this map. You have to look at whatever the topography and like they point out like, okay, this is where you're supposed to like land your parachute. You have to kind of self-direct. And it was getting dusk and I literally like couldn't see, like everything looked the same to me. And this was after the parachute had already come out and I think I landed in some field, like literally not in the airfield. And then the instructor had to come find me, so he had to follow me. And then it's like, I don't know where I am. Like I just sort of landed somewhere weird. And then we like walked back through like cow fields to get back. And like everyone was like, where did you guys go? I'm like, I don't know. This is kind of like a me thing to do.
You just couldn't see and you've landed in some guy's farm.
Oh yeah, literally, yeah. Yeah, but it was pretty cool. But I think I'm a liability, like when it comes to that stuff. Like probably should tell them that my eyesight is like Asian level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it was close to the sun going down and things like that. It's
Yeah, it
hard
was
to see.
getting dusk, so
right?
like that time is like hard to see as well.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I guess I have to blame something for my incompetence. So
that's what you blame.
yes,
So then, how many jumps did you? Or how many jumps
I
did you?
think I did. Honestly, I almost got to 10, but then it's quite expensive. It's like several $100s a jump,
Mm.
and then there was one jump that I did. I fucked the landing. I think the landing was the hardest part for me. Like, I don't know. And I like sat on my butt and I think I broke my tailbone.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't
You
know.
just
I
hit
didn't get
that
it
hard?
checked out, but I assumed I broke my tailbone because it hurt.
Yeah.
My tailbone was painful for like 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then I think after that I got a bit freaked, like, because it's just like one of those things that I tend to do. I stopped going for a few weeks
Yeah.
and then I just didn't end up going back. And you have to keep recency for that. So if you don't go for a few weeks, they'll make you
Start again.
do the test again.
Yeah. Wow.
And that off puts me in my mind because I think, oh, it's been too long. And then I start overthinking like, then I don't end up doing the thing. But I think there are a few levels that I didn't pass because, so if you don't pass the level, then you have to just do it again, which is another couple of $100.
Yep. For the next jump.
Yeah. So it's a bit, I did it, I would do them, but then it was like, oh shit, I'm at like level 7 or 8 or something.
Yeah.
There's one weekend I did like 5 jumps. It was just like so cool. But then, yeah, because the levels get harder. You have to do you have to start like moving around, like you start like traveling forward, backwards, side to side, or like you have to move certain parts of your body in different ways. Like you have to keep like a strong arch. And I feel like that appeals to me because I feel like it's very athletic, like it's very skill based. But yeah, I get caught up with admin things like, oh, like, you know, it's expensive, and then I didn't go last week, and then it's going to be too long, and then I think myself into not doing the thing anymore.
Yeah. Well, you would have spent, if it's a couple $100 a jump, it's like already, close to a couple of grand in
Oh,
jumps. right?
thousands, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's, in my head, all fun things are expensive.
Yeah.
There's nothing really,
All fun things.
all fun things. Name one fun thing that's not, actually, I don't know the meaning of fun. Actually, name one fun thing that's not expensive. I mean, fun thing, like rolling in a pile of money, that's expensive. Diving into a pile of money, that's expensive.
I suppose, yeah, like it depends on what stage of life you're at as well, because like, you know, what's fun at different stages of your life is different as well, right? So yeah, like I guess the things that I've enjoyed over the years, like, you know, driving cars at race tracks and things like that, yeah, that does
Expensive.
get expensive. Martial arts, yeah, unfortunately does get expensive if you're paying memberships and things like that.
To be honest, martial arts, I think
It's one of the cheaper ones.
Yeah, it's not. You don't need that much equipment, I guess. So, but I think to do things to get anywhere, it just probably is a lot of money over time.
Yeah.
Or like if you do comps, that's very expensive. Like, yeah.
Comps, seminars, if you want to travel and like learn at other places,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
get the experience
Yeah.
and things like that, that's when it starts to add up. But like in terms of like, yeah, like there's lots that you can do, but I guess it's always the hidden cost of money, right? Like I could say that, you know, having kids is fun, but they're fucking expensive.
Yeah, like, see, I was going to say that, but it's not, I guess it's not something I consider fun, but like owning a child is expensive.
Yeah, that's right. Like
that's the most expensive thing. Like how do people afford it?
I get that question a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like the answer, like the first thing that like the people go, how do you do it? Right. That's usually the first question that people ask me. And I just say back to them, like, I don't think about it. I just do it. Because if I was to think about it, yeah, like sometimes you just, yeah, like there's no point thinking about it because it's done already. Like,
yeah. Or like it's just something you want to do. So you're going to do it regardless of how much negativity you like associate with it, or like whatever the pros and cons are, you want to do it anyway. So like you may as well not think about it.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, I have this thing where I think, you know, when it comes to saying yes or no to something, right? Like to keep it very, what's the right word? Between two things. It's like my words have just escaped me today. But to keep the options, binary. Yeah. I like to keep options binary, right? And so then when it comes to making decisions, it's either a yes or a no. And then anytime that I think that something's a maybe, then I'll just say it's a no. Because then if I really wanted to do it, I would have just done it anyway. Right? So like my wife often, you know, tells me off because I'll just go and buy something. Yeah.
Impulsively.
No, well, look, I wouldn't say it's impulsively. It's like I looked at it and then I thought, should I buy this? And then it's like, okay, I can tell my wife about it, and in which case she's just going to tell me that you're just going to do it anyway, irrespective of what she says. So then I sort of come to the point where it's just like, okay, do I really want it? Yes or no? And if it's a maybe, okay, well, it's a no. And then I'll just like, yeah, like just put it to the side. But then if it was like, okay, well, yeah, I do kind of really want it, so then I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think keeping options binary is like the easiest thing that you can do, because otherwise everybody's like, you know, it's when you're sitting in that middle stage of, oh, maybe I will, maybe I won't. That's where you're tormenting yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That ambivalence is it's very like anxiety inducing. It's like a mental burden. I feel like when it comes to things like shopping, like, well, usually I buy things online.
Yeah.
And there's some things that I know, like just say I've seen something, I'm like, I really want that. And there's sometimes I think I know that no matter what, I just want that thing. Like I won't stop obsessing about that thing until I buy it.
You got to give me some examples.
So, I don't know. It could be anything like, I don't know, say a piece of clothing, whatever.
Okay.
Like
Nothing random? Anything random? Anything really random?
I used to do that with bikes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What you'd buy?
But that was very impulsive. Looking back, I would not have made those choices because they're expensive.
As in you bought motorbikes impulsively, or you bought parts for your motorbikes?
I bought motorbikes impulsively.
Okay, okay. You asked me what I've ridden. What have you ridden? I need the list.
Mostly Hondas.
Okay.
Mostly Hondas. I've owned Hondas. So I had the 125 CBR 125.
Yep.
Was the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and then I bought an RVF 400.
Yeah,
that was my
nice
favorite, but like that broke my heart.
Why?
Because I think it was a lemon. Like that was one of the impulsive things that I regret.
Okay.
Because it was like
you didn't check it out.
I was just obsessed. I was just like, I just want this.
They're a gorgeous bike.
It's beautiful.
You know,
but
single
like,
swing arm, like you can see the whole wheel.
It's very aesthetic.
V4.
But that's not everything. Like that shouldn't be everything. Like it needs to be like mechanically sound, and I don't think it was.
Yeah.
So I think it had lots of problems with the electrics. But like, I don't know. I was so trusting. It was some like Asian guy in Cabramatta with like a family, and he's like, oh, you know, I got 2 of these, and like, I got to sell it because I got kids. But like, if it ever comes up, I'd buy this bike again. I was like, oh, okay, like take my money.
And then it was
Like,
time to sell
they
it.
couldn't-
Hey, do you want to buy this bike up? Buy back?
Like I bet you, like I was so dumb. Like obviously I haven't changed, but I've gotten poorer. But like I was so dumb that he could have said, like, why didn't you think about it? Like maybe I'll knock off a couple $100 and I'll be like, nah, take my money now. Like I'll pay for full price. Like what an idiot. But
Yeah.
anyway, like it was a big lemon, that bike. Actually, funny story. That bike got set on fire.
What?
So yeah, that was a bad ending to it. Like it broke my heart. Like I cried.
How did it get set on fire?
It's just somebody set it on fire.
What?
It was parked in like the back. I didn't have a closed garage, so like I had an open carport, but like for whatever reason, I thought it wasn't safe in the carport, so I parked it around the back of my apartments.
Yeah.
And then somebody literally came and set it on fire. I feel like because of maybe someone didn't like the noise or like whatever.
Did you used to sit on it
It
and
had
rev it or
one
something? Does it make yourself happy?
A little bit.
Okay.
It had like a Remus pipe, I think.
Yep.
It sounded nice, and
Yeah.
it was like a bit noisy.
Yeah.
It's got a very unique sound.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, that was sad. That was very sad.
What suburb was this?
Newtown,
In Newtown.
yeah.
Wow.
But it wasn't
random.
like it was closer to like the dive end of Newtown.
Okay.
So I think it was a bit dodgy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a sad story of that.
Yeah. Well, RVF 400, like they're worth a bit of money nowadays, I think.
It's very expensive for what it was though.
Yeah.
But it gave me so many problems. I spent so much money on it. But yeah, I loved it. And just like everything I love, it broke my heart.
In a ball of flames.
in a massive ball of flames, yes.
So when it
leaves nothing but a pile of smoking
did,
ashes.
did you see it when it was on fire?
Yeah,
Or
I did.
Oh, so
It was
you
like a fireball.
and then you went outside and you were like, what
It's
the
like,
fuck?
no, because like people started knocking at my door, and the people were like, what? Like, yeah, I could hear like shouting from outside, and I was like, uh-oh, something's happened.
Yeah.
I sort of looked out the window, I could see flames. I'm like, oh shit, this is such a me thing to happen.
Yeah, it's really random. Did you have insurance?
No.
Oh, double the heartbreak.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like so annoying because at times I have insurance.
Nothing
It's like
happens.
one of those annoying things you pay for, and it's like a waste of money until like that stuff happens. But I think that kind of bike it's just so expensive to insure because it's so hoony.
Yeah.
But yeah, I loved it. And then after that, I had a CBR 600 when I got my full license.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the best though. The CBR 600 was like
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, great bikes.
Yeah.
Reliable, easy to ride.
Yeah.
They're fast. They sound good.
It's like
They look
perfect
good.
size. It's very like powerful, very quick. Yeah, it's like so good.
Yeah.
And I think that's all. And now if I would get one, I'd consider getting one because I can go back and just get my license back, I think, apparently. I would get a motard.
A motard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. It'd be, I toyed with the idea of potentially getting a motard, but then it's just from a practicality standpoint. It's just,
Do you reckon it would be impractical?
well, so I had a Svartpillen. That was the last bike I had.
A what?
Svartpillen is a Husqvarna.
Svartpillen.
Yeah, it's called a Svartpillen. There's two of them. There's a Vitapillen
heard
and
of
then there's a Svartpillen. And the
Sounds like
Vitapillen, they
IKEA bike.
yeah, it's kind of like an IKEA bike. The Vitapillen was like on road tires. It's like kind of like a cafe racer style bike. And the Svartpillen is like the more like you meant to be able to go off road in it kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But they're only small. Like it was a Svartpillen 401, and that was like that was the last bike I had. It was only a couple of years ago, and I got it just because I just needed a bike to commute on, right? And we had the family car, and then I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get a motorbike. It's cheaper than buying anything else, right? And then the only thing about those kinds of bikes is that like it's impractical. I can't. If I need to go and do a podcast, I can go and grab that suitcase and fit it anywhere.
That's
and
annoying.
then like, even for like training and stuff, like I literally have to stuff everything into a backpack.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, like it was just,
Bikes are not practical.
yeah.
Unless you're just like, I don't know, you're one of those salt of the earth old guys that's just like, yeah, just rain,
need-
hail or shine, I don't care.
Yeah,
Now
you
maybe
need
like
one of those enduro bikes with all the saddlebags.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the tank bag and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
maybe you can fit some things in, but
But the thing is, I don't like having to dress in bike clothing.
Yeah.
I'm like a
So you're a Scooty?
princess. I feel like
Did you used to
no.
go out?
I used to wear at least jeans,
Yep.
and I would always wear like, not always. Summer like get hot. Sometimes you have to like wear shorts or whatever.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Yeah.
But like most of the time, I'd at least be like jeans, bike. I would always wear bike boots, whatever, like armor jacket, whatever, gloves. Always wear gloves.
Yep.
But I don't like it. I don't like having to carry all this shit.
Yeah.
I can
And your
never wear
helmet?
the clothes I want. Yeah, it's just honestly, I feel like that's the most annoying part of it.
Yeah.
And I always carry a bunch of shit around with me. So I just always have like, I don't like backpacks, so I'd have like, you know, like the shoulder bag or whatever. Like what's it called? Sports bag.
Yep.
The shoulder sports bag. It's just annoying. I don't know. I think I'm too much of a princess now. Like
Did you ever used to keep your helmet on your bike? Like so.
yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
I'd
so-
lock it on.
I got a story about this. So once I had my bike in the city, and I locked my helmet onto the bike. This is when I was riding the CBR 250,
Yeah.
and then some assholes cut the strap on my
Mm.
helmet. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why would you do that? Like,
So they could like and stole it or just cut it
they just cut it.
and it fell down on the ground.
Yeah. And I got back to the bike and I'm like, why the fuck is my helmet on the ground? And I thought maybe I didn't lock it in properly. And then I'm like trying to put the strap on and there's no fucking strap. It's been cut off. Like,
Yeah, that
why
pisses
would you
me
do
off.
that? That's
I
just
don't know.
fucking, anyway,
Like that
people are
kind of
just
thing
fucked.
annoys me
Yeah.
because it's like I understand if you stole it. At
Yeah.
least like not it wouldn't make me happy, but at least you're like stealing has a purpose. But like randomly destroying something,
Yeah.
that's just annoying to me. It's like, well, you just ruined my day, so like I can't use this thing, but you didn't. What was the point of that?
Yeah, no one
It's
else
like
can use it either.
being a nuisance. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So, so what can I ask what you lost your license for?
Speeding.
Yeah. How fast?
It wasn't that fast, but it was like, you know, it was enough to lose my license for like 6 months.
Okay.
So I was unhappy. I was very sad because I'd just gotten my full license.
Yeah.
But then I think I took that opportunity to go do track days and stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Okay. So you kept the bike
So
for
it
a while
wasn't
and
too
did some track
bad.
days and
Yeah.
yeah. And then so, but I would have thought you normally get your license back automatically after the 6 months.
No, more like when I was off my license, I couldn't ride on the road, but I went and did track days instead so that I could keep riding.
Yeah, but like, don't they just like you get your license back after the 6 months expires, or did your license expire or something, or they've completely said you need to start again?
No, you get it back. Yeah,
Oh.
you get it back.
Okay, so
As long as you pay the fine.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why can't you? Why do you have to go get your license again then?
Oh, I think it's just over time. Like I haven't ridden for a long time.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
your
I
license
haven't-
expired.
Yeah. So it expired. I just have to go renew it. I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
Okay.
But like that to me is one of those admin steps that kept me from doing a lot. Like my bike rego expired. I'm like, it's expensive. And then this on top of that and having to,
Yeah.
it just trips me up. I'm like,
Maybe
I'm very incapable of functioning as a human.
maybe you need like one of those like scooters, and then because then you can put all your gear in the scooter. You know, like the ones with like the big like storage area under the seat.
Yeah,
So
people
you put your helmet
suggest
and
it
stuff.
to me, but I feel like that's just so gay. Gayest. Not in it. I mean, that sounds so bad. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I mean,
it's
like,
convenient
yeah,
but
it's very convenient and
it's
it's cheap,
convenient.
but it's just.
at the cost of.
I'd rather just get a car. Like,
But then you got to get your license.
yeah,
So is there a reason why you never got your car license?
just another one of those things. I had a bike license.
Yeah, and that's all you needed at the time.
Yeah, and then car is hard because it's like I didn't do it like with my parents kind of thing.
Mm.
So if you just live by yourself or like I don't like you have to rely on it really annoys me that you have to have another person with you.
Yeah. Okay.
Like bike you can do it by yourself. So you can ride around by yourself on your L's.
Yep.
Car you have to have another person. Like that annoys me.
Mm.
So like having to and like I didn't have my own car. So like
Where you gonna
how are
learn?
you
Yeah.
gonna practice or like get your hours or learn? So it's always having to ask a friend or like, and then it's like you have to do that all the time or get driving lessons. I got some driving lessons and like, but it's just hard to get hours up. It's hard to like practice, and I don't really like always having to say like, hey, can you drive with me? Like,
Mm.
it's just another like one of those basic human things that I do.
Fair enough. So then for you, like when did martial arts come into your life? Like what's the story there?
It's like pretty early. I think I always wanted to do like physical activity, but I don't like team sports.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I didn't make that connection because like I think in school like they make you play team sports all the time, and I like sports, but like I'm just shit at sports. Like I'm shit at ball sports, but then I think it's not ball sports, it's team sports. It's working in a team. But like I was good at like whatever stuff you do by yourself, like gymnastics or like climbing or like even like running and stuff, athletics to an extent, because you don't have to work as part of a team.
Yeah.
So I think like I also wanted to do movies.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to fight. So like it's like I'll do some martial arts.
Okay. So then the influence for the movies, was it just like watching the action movies and things like that? Was that the reason why? Or
I don't know. I feel like people are surprised to hear this because I just don't really tell people because obviously I haven't gotten there. So I don't really like to tell people because something it's like, okay, well, I would have liked to done this, but I haven't achieved it. But like I always wanted to like be in movies.
Yeah.
Or perform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you do drama and stuff in school?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was also very shy.
Okay.
So I feel like it's a bit, I'm a bit like that too now, but it's more very introverted. But when I was a kid, I was also very shy. So like the louder kids would obviously be the ones that people go like, oh, you're so good at drama. Like you're so good at theater and whatever. But I would be too shy to like speak up and be like, I want to do this or like, I want to play this role, like act in a play or whatever. Like I did audition for those things, but I feel like everyone saw me as this like quiet, geeky person. So I was like, well, you're not going to, this doesn't suit you.
Yeah. But they didn't know that.
And I feel like people still say that kind of thing about me now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're very like unassuming. When I say unassuming, it's like, it took me a while to sort of like work out, because I used to think, oh, does Janice actually like me? Like, 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 is she somebody that like when I talk to her, is she like, am I bothering her or is she okay for me to talk to her? Like,
so what conclusion did you come to? Let me see if this like coincides with what I feel.
What you feel.
Whether I do like you.
Well, I just think that you're a very reserved person, right? Like when I say reserved, so you're reserved in certain aspects, but then it's like, sometimes we'll have these conversations and it's like, okay, I see, like, you just showed me a little bit more of the real Janice, right? And I feel like for most people, when they meet you, they probably just see like this really sort of like calm, cool exterior. But like when I talk to you about certain things, it's like, oh, no, you're just like, you're like, I can see like little bits of excitement that bubble up in you. But then generally it's like you sort of give me like this deadpan look, like, when I'm trying to leg lock you and then you just like give me nothing and then I'm like, is it working? Like it's kind of like that.
What
right?
do you want though?
So, but like,
what do you want from me? You're trying to leg lock me. It's not working. Like I'm not gonna like say ow.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. Like
I have to kind of give the deadpan look because I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're just touching my feet. I'm enjoying this. Like, do something proper.
Yeah. So I feel like, that demeanor that you have in relation to like, in training, like it does carry, I can see that in your personality when like for normal people, when they just maybe first meet you, they might go, oh, does Janice like me? Or like, am I just bothering her? Like, I feel like people get that sort of vibe from you.
Interesting. I wouldn't say that's wrong, but it's like, I think I'm not very openly friendly.
Yeah.
But I feel like I could say this a lot about other people too. Because I will feel the same about others too. Like you think that person's not friendly. Like they must not like me. But because I feel like just being observant, like you're like, okay, that person's probably like introverted as well.
Yeah.
And they're not openly friendly. But if you actually go up and speak to them and engage with them, they're very friendly.
Yeah.
And they're quite open. Like they have a good conversation or they're quite interested in you and like vice versa, they're very interesting. But because certain people don't like smile and like laugh and like whatever, like greet you effusively, you assume that they don't like you. That's might be the case, but I feel like mostly I'm indifferent.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're a very, like, noisy, attention-seeking person, I'm usually fairly neutral.
Yeah.
I don't dislike people
Yeah.
in the gym.
Yeah.
Some people, but I generally in the gym, I feel like most people are cool.
Yeah.
You're cool. I like you.
Yeah, but I'm
Just to answer your question,
okay.
if you're
well,
still wondering.
No, that makes me feel better. But yeah, like I can see how like that sort of, you know, because you have like that sort of indifference that would cause you to be overlooked in those situations, like when it comes to the acting stuff in like school and things like that, right?
True. Yeah, I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like I don't like to be, you know, like it's not so much about arrogance or like anything like that. But for an example, just say people that like to tell others like, oh yeah, I'm great. Like I did this, I did that. Like, you know, look at me. Like, here's my achievements. Like, oh, I'm doing this at the moment. I'm like the complete opposite. I'll be like, I won't say anything. I don't really like to tell anyone anything.
Yeah.
And I feel like when it comes to performance or skill, if I'm good, it should be able to be noticed or displayed. So I shouldn't need to tell people. I shouldn't be like, oh yeah, hey, look at me, I'm good. And then you go, oh yeah, you should be able to tell me that I'm good. But like, I feel like that kind of thing isn't something that necessarily helps, because you generally do get overlooked. Like, if you're not gonna tell the world that you're great, you're good, like, hey, look at me kind of thing, people actually just ignore you, I feel like. Yeah. So it probably doesn't help. Like, and I think a lot of people are like that. They don't want to like big note themselves, or like they don't want to seem too forward, especially like introverts. Yeah. But then how do you don't get noticed that way?
Yeah. It's the old saying of like the squeaky wheel gets the oil, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't make any noise, then people just go, oh yeah, they're happy, they're content, we'll just leave them be.
Yeah.
Right?
Or like, you know, they're not doing anything. They're not interested in anything. Like, they're not good at anything. They're just quiet. Like, the quiet part irritates me when people say that as though it implies something else. Like,
what do you mean? Like,
so a very common comment that I get is sometimes people meet me and they're like, oh, you're actually like, you're really quiet. Like, no, they'll go like, oh, like, you're really funny, but like in real life, you're quiet. I'm like, how are those two things relevant? Like, do I appear noisy? Like, does humor have to do with being loud? No, I feel like the louder your humor, or the louder you try and talk, the more obnoxious you are. It's not funny. But some people associate like being really like outspoken or being literally loud or attention seeking. That's associated with humor. I'm like, that's not humor. That's just you just like being noisy and annoying. Well, but like that actually irritates me. So it's like, what does quietness have to do with a sense of humor or being funny or comical or anything like that, or comedy? It's nothing.
Yeah, I think, you know, and I was probably the opposite to you when I was in school. Like, I was definitely an attention seeker. And I would like, you know, I can speak to this now because I just would say that I was like massively trying to overcompensate for my own insecurities, right? So it's like that old adage of like, you know, if you wear your insecurities out in the open and act like they don't hurt you, then they won't hurt you. And so, you know, like I think for most teachers, for most people in like high school and things like that, they would say like I was a very cocky, arrogant kind of a kid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I would just say, yeah, I was a little shit. Like that's reality. I had no life experience, and you know, you think you're king shit, and for whatever reason, and you're not. And it's only after then you go through some difficult things in life and you realize, you know, what the real world is like.
What were you insecure about?
I think, you know, so it's a good question.
Or were you aware of what your insecurities were?
I think it was more just like, you know, let me think about this.
I hope this doesn't bring up all the past trauma that you tried to bury.
No,
I hope you don't leave going, oh my God.
No, I wear all that stuff on my sleeve. Like at the end of the day, I just feel like when I was at that age, it was like, you know, you always want to be good at things. Right. And so I was like a tryhard. I would try hard at everything.
Oh, you're the kid that I would be like, he's a tryhard.
Yeah, you would have hated me. Right?
Probably. But at the same time, I would have probably envied you or admired you because you're the outgoing kid that like probably like popular.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'd put myself out there, right?
Yeah.
And you know, be known to sort of like, you know, try and put myself out there and try and do things, and then, you know, try and talk myself up, kind of a thing. And the reality is like, I feel like at that age when you're young, like talking yourself up, you just sort of like steel manning your own confidence because you don't have any, right? Like you didn't, like, not say that I had zero confidence. It's like, yeah, like I probably had, it was just arrogance, really, like this confident belief that I could do. Yeah, I was overconfidence, right? But there's an element there of like, I feel like, you know, when you put it out there, then obviously you want to live up to it. And I think I sort of looked at it like that. Is like, okay, if I'm going to put it out there, then I'm going to be this, right? And, you know, rather than like now, I'm probably a much better balance, and I probably don't have that same kind of energy. Like if anything, I try and promote other people more than I promote myself nowadays. And that's just because I've sort of shifted, you know, where do I take my, what do I enjoy, you know, in life? And, you know, when I was working and things like that, yeah, like it got, like, don't get me wrong, like that attitude of putting myself out there got me to, you know, achieve great things, you know, in my working career. You know, I got everything that I wanted pretty much. And you know, the only thing that I would say is that I probably didn't set the goal high enough, because when I hit that goal, I sort of just realized that the goal was empty anyway. And I think that applies to a lot of goals in life. But like when you're young, you want to chase all these goals. So you might as well set them as high as you fucking can, achieve what you want. And then when you realize it's hollow and empty, then it's not so bad. You know, at least you've achieved some shit.
Yeah. At least you don't go out with regrets that you never did it. I think.
Yeah. So I guess, like, you know, just thinking back, like, you know, thinking about your situation, right, where you're like the quiet achiever, does that you know, influence the way that you sort of, you know, view things nowadays?
What do you mean?
So, you know, obviously, you know, when you see like you get passed up for opportunities because you're the quiet one, so to speak, right?
I still feel like I'm like that.
Yeah.
Like other people, I feel like other people would be like, oh yeah, like me, and I'll probably be like, well, you know, if I was that good, they would have like come up and asked me. But the reality is they don't, because they're like, oh, well, that person doesn't look interested. They didn't express their desire to do the thing, like. So it's totally me. Like I feel like, yeah, it's like I feel like sometimes it would be great to have that. Although I don't admire arrogance or like displays of arrogance or like whatever self-promotion, it's good to have that, because I feel like you being able to talk about yourself and like promote yourself and like big note yourself in whatever way, that's how people get to the top. Like I feel like the loudest voice gets the furthest.
Yeah, to a point. Yeah, you still need ability. Hang on a second, there's a cockroach there.
Oh no, yuck.
Okay, sorry. We got him.
That was this gym is just, you know, so luxurious.
Disputed romance.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Well, I think, you know, it's a conundrum, right? Because you feel like you want recognition of your abilities, but at the same time, it's like people don't know that you want recognition.
Yeah, but like, you know, deep in your head, because deep down it's kind of like, okay, I've got an inner arrogance. If like I wasn't arrogant, then I wouldn't want to achieve lofty goals. Yeah. So deep down, I think I'm really good, and people should notice. Like, but obviously, like if you don't tell them, you don't show them like really, really, probably like really obviously, they won't. Like, well, it's very rare. It's very unlikely that they'll pick you and be like, yeah, you are so great. Like, you know, come and do this thing. It's more like you have to make yourself known, or the initiative has to come from you in some way or another. I feel like. Yeah,
I think it's also the feedback, right? Like when I say feedback, it's like a lot of the times when people get a compliment, they just sort of brush it off. You know, you say, oh yeah, thanks, right? And I think I must have read this in a book or something, but it's like, you know, when somebody gives you a compliment, you should actually really like just actually take a moment to like let it soak in. And so, because I guess, you know, it's kind of like what you're saying about how when you obsess about things, it's what you notice, right? So you notice all the bikes when you want the bikes, right? And then it's like, if somebody gives you a compliment and you don't appreciate it, it's like, well, you're probably going to be less likely to receive those compliments in future, or the recognition, right? So it's like the times that you do receive the recognition, it's like you got to sort of really let it soak in as opposed to just, sort of fob it off. Because I feel like, I think most people would do that, right? Like even myself, like when somebody says to me, oh, I watched this episode or whatever, it's weird for me, right? Like I don't think about it. But I should probably like just, actually I do let it sit with me sometimes because I just go, okay, it's nice that, there are people watching, and it's nice that, people are interested in other people because I feel like, a lot of like social content is not really fostering necessarily a deeper connection with people. And it's, I guess people don't necessarily want to go to, spend their time listening to people getting deep, but like that's essentially all I do nowadays. Like I can't do small talk anymore. It's just,
I can't do small talk at all.
it's a waste.
Yeah,
Waste
that's
time.
why like people, you probably got the impression I don't like you because I'm highly unlikely to initiate small talk.
Yeah.
I'm very awkward. I'd rather say nothing. So like, to me, sometimes even saying hi is awkward. Like, I probably have a lot of mental issues or like neurodivergencies, but like, or it's, I'm just a awkward person, but I feel like there's some people that
You're an Aspie.
probably,
Asperger's.
I think that term's outdated now.
Oh, we can't say that. Can I not say that anymore? Or am I getting in trouble? Like,
I don't know. The internet will decide. I feel like the internet will let you know what's like politically correct or what.
well, like autism in jiu-jitsu is like, it's a cool thing now. Right? Like if you look, and I might as well bring this up because, I think it's just, I was saying this to Sonny Brown the other day about, one of Craig's posts, Craig Jones's posts, his last one where he's like talking about his blood pressure and cocaine and all this shit. I'm like, fuck, like the stuff that he gets away with, he's like the South Park of jiu-jitsu. Like, you know how like they say like South Park is the only thing that can't get cancelled? That's Craig Jones. Like, how the fuck can you get away with saying that sort of stuff? Like,
yeah, everyone loves Craig Jones. I feel like Craig is very calculating.
Yeah.
So I feel like everything that comes out of his mouth is very measured.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's also very, everyone likes him because he's so unique in that he's probably like the only athlete that makes self-deprecating jokes.
Yeah.
So everyone else is like, oh yeah, I'm so great. Like inside me is a wolf, like blah, blah, blah.
I got
like
that dog in me.
I got that dog. It's like, the biggest dog or whatever, like whatever bullshit. Like I'm actually not interested in following sports people because it's just boring. Like,
well,
if
you don't like the arrogance, well, that's
exactly.
That's
like
typically
listen
most
to them
sports
telling
people,
me
right?
what they're doing. Like, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care. Like, if you're ready for this or that, or like, sweat is your fat crying. I don't know. Like, whatever. Like, boring. It's so earnest. It's so like, I am the champion. Like, okay, great. But I feel like Craig is unique because he's got that Australian humor. Like, if people insult him, he just goes like, yeah, he'll insult himself. And like, no other athletes do that because they're too arrogant. They're like, I feel like they're too insecure. They don't want to say anything bad about themselves. They don't want to be the joke, whereas Craig doesn't mind being the joke. Yeah. And I feel like it's ironic. He makes himself a joke, but like he's also really good. So like you can't be like, well, you're just a joke. It's like,
it's made that's the same thing like what I was talking about. You wear that insecurity as your armor. Like how long did he go with the, I'm number 2, silver medal vibes, and that became like his whole marketing. Marketing.
Yeah,
like the B team, right?
It's so good though.
Right?
It's so good. I don't know. I remember seeing one video like on his social media, and he had just won 80cc. I think it just came second 80cc, and someone sent him a message going like, well done on the second, you loser. That made me laugh so hard. I'm like, who does that? Like, what's wrong with you? Like, second at 80cc is so good. Yeah. Like, who was sitting there like at their desk or whatever going, man, like, I got to go message this like famous person and tell him he's a loser. Like, and then Craig made a whole video about it, like bashing kids or something. Like, I just thought it was so funny. Like, he doesn't mind. He's not going to get mad. He'll just be like, oh yeah, I'm a loser, and make it a huge joke. But in reality, like, he's actually like, he's good, but he's not afraid to just be like self-deprecating, which is, I like that too. Yeah. Like, yeah. I feel like that's kind of my style of humor. But in my case, it's probably true. It's not even a joke.
Well, you would get all sorts of weird messages, wouldn't you?
Yeah, sometimes, but like, yeah, it's mostly like good and it's mostly funny. Like, I often, honestly, like, you can't take anything personally. I feel like it's predominantly like the messages. I make like videos or whatever, and like randoms view it, whatever, and predominantly the messages and the comments and everything are good. You get some like odd negative one, but then it doesn't bother me because I see so many, say like any celebrity, like I'm not a celebrity, but anyone, YouTuber or like a celebrity's picture or like any creator, and they're just existing and someone will come up with a really mean thing to say. I'm like, I couldn't ever imagine myself going onto the page of some, say like a celebrity, say like whatever, like Taylor Swift, like, you fucking ugly bitch. Like,
Yeah.
like who does that?
Yeah.
Like, why? People obviously do that on anyone that creates something and puts it out there or puts their face on social media. But why?
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, you don't know them. And they're obviously like successful, or like people are looking at their stuff, or like they're famous, or like they're good looking, but someone will find something and be like, that thing about you is like so ugly, or like, you know, or like try and make some comment about like how you did this or that wrong, or like, I don't know. It's just very bizarre to me. So it's like impossible for me to take negative comments personally because it just happens. It's literally not personal. They know nothing about me to be able to make an informed comment.
Yeah.
It's just literally some idiot. Like, I feel like you have to be an idiot. You just have to be like dumb. Like, what's
it's like,
I don't get
it. Who hurt you? Why are you so upset?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
So-
yeah.
So when it came to, and I'm curious about this, like, you know, for your own socials, like why you decided, you know, okay, well, I'm just going to like post like this kind of content where it's like, you know, you find it, obviously it's humorous, like some of it's humorous and some of it's like, you know, deadpan humorous, and like, yeah, like what was the inspiration for wanting to do something a little bit different?
Honestly, I wanted to make content for a long time. So like videos, and of course it was another one of those things. I think I've got undiagnosed ADHD and poor executive functioning. I'm going to say that. I don't know, but like I just don't get around to doing things. So I put them off for so long, I never do it. But it's really been something that I wanted to do for a long, long time. And actually like made a video, like I'd actually made some stuff like, but I had a friend film it for me, and then no shade to him, it just took like ages for him to get me the videos, like a long, long time. And then by the time it sort of sent me stuff, I was like, you know, that's really cringe. I don't want to post that anymore.
Yeah.
And so like I made another video, like same friend, like he helped me film stuff. And then from our gym, Casey, I got Casey to come and help me film a video. And the first video that I really like posted and was like, you know, shot well kind of thing was a video with Casey. And my inspiration with that, I actually wanted to make this for a while. So like there's a coach called Kane at Grappling Education. He's a black belt. So like shout out to Kane as well. He's started his own gym. It's called
Kane from
Rain.
Rain.
Yes. I told him he should just call it Kane. But yeah, Kane from Rain. Now he's a black belt and he used to teach classes at our gym. And he used to like all of his techniques, every time he said a technique, it would be full of that's what she says.
Yeah, okay.
So he'd be like, okay, so like guys, you got to like put it in and then like, I don't know, go deep or like something like that, like everything. And then me with my like 7-year-old boy sense of humor would be like nudging the next person and be like, oh, like what's wrong with you? And I just thought I really want to make a video, like a jiu-jitsu tutorial where it's as packed full of as many that's what she says as I can possibly think of. Like that's just like I think it's funny. Like I don't care who thinks it's funny, probably no one, but like I think that's the funniest thing ever. And so like yeah, I made this video with Casey and it turned out to be really popular. I was like, hey, like everyone's just as dumb as me. Like they like this shit. Like that's crazy.
You guys are retarded.
Yeah, you guys are retarded. Like you fall for this shit. Like, but I feel like everyone likes that everyone seemed to like that stupid humor. It's like, I I put a video and then obviously like I'll watch it to make sure it's turned out okay. But then after that, I don't want to hear my voice.
Yeah.
It's cringe. I don't want to watch this. I don't want to hear it ever again. So I just try not to like look at it again. But people told me that they really liked that particular video. So I was like, interesting. But we'd made a whole bunch of stuff. So then I kept like posting stuff. And I have heaps of ideas. Once again, there's a lot of ideas I think are really funny that I haven't made yet. But I will make them eventually.
So when you have these ideas, is it like you're just lying in bed and then it's like, oh, I got this idea, and you start typing it up on your phone or writing them down somewhere, or what do you do?
No, because that would imply organization.
Okay, and they're not organized.
I have a notebook and I'll write scripts.
Okay.
But I usually do that like, oh shit, like my friend's coming to film. I got to do it now. Otherwise I won't have anything ready. And I'll sit here and I'll do it like 5 minutes before.
Yeah.
But, maybe like 6 months beforehand, I will have been like, okay, I should write this down. Otherwise I'll forget. I should write this down. And I don't do it. And then I'm like, oh, wait, what was that good idea that I had? I forgot. Like, what's wrong with you? You should have written it down. Like, now I'll remember.
Yeah, that never works.
No, it doesn't. But it kind of does.
Yeah.
But I feel like I've probably forgotten a lot of like cool things.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just stuff that I find funny. And sometimes I don't know if anyone finds it funny because it doesn't matter to me because I think it's funny. So I will post it or like I will want to make it. But there's a lot of stuff on the internet that is super popular and I just think is just stupid. I just think it's not funny. So I would never create that type of content. I'm just like, I simply don't understand why it's so popular. It's not about like, oh, I'm just going to be opposed to the popular thing. It's not about that. It's more me just thinking like, I don't understand what makes this trend so popular. Like when people make videos and they lip sync songs and movies, I do not.
It's just weird.
It's not weird. To me, it's just like, okay, so you have no creativity. It's just you miming a song. Sometimes it's literally just to showcase how hot you look. But people think that's funny. Like it's designed to be funny. It's designed to be entertaining. I actually just don't get it.
Well, I think...
No shade to the people who do that, but it's just like zero creativity, zero... I don't know, anything really. It's not really an idea. To me, I don't really like it.
Yeah, it's creating. All they're thinking about is just trying to create as much content as possible, right? And
that's
so
fine.
you jump on all the trends.
People
it's
like
easy.
it. I just don't know why people like it. Like I don't like it.
Yeah.
But I guess I probably prefer. I just like stuff that has a bit more originality or like.
People
it's
put
just
effort into
genuinely funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be all that effort, but I don't know. If I watched a movie and it's all just like the actors are just lip syncing songs, like what would be the point?
Yeah, well, that you might as well just watch a movie, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So then, I'm curious about with the acting thing, right? Have you ever done any, did you ever do any courses like outside of school or anything like that to try and pursue that?
Yes.
Yeah. What did
and
you
once
do?
again, I didn't finish it.
Oh, what did you? So what was it?
So let's never speak of it. It's just like film and TV.
Yep.
Acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like.
Do they teach you anything good?
Yeah, a little bit, but I don't know. I didn't make anything of it, so. I think I got too focused on martial arts and stuff anyway then.
Okay.
But yeah, I tend to like not finish things.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to studying, I think I'm just anything that involves having to study because there's a theory like handing things in or like having to get stuff done. I tend to not finish it, which is not very good. Like it's because it means I'll start this qualification or something and then I won't do it because I had to put study or admin time in outside of a class.
Yeah. So then what about like when like your school subjects and stuff? Were you any good at studying there?
No. I still don't know how to study, but I think I winged the HSC because at the time I think I hadn't had as much head trauma. So I still had a good memory. And so like I was also Asian, so I got bio and genetics.
Genetics. So you're good at maths?
So
Were you good at maths?
No, actually no. Oh no, I'm like the most failed Asian in that respect.
Oh.
But the HSC, I like just I like get out a book like an hour before and like
Cram it.
and then I did like great.
Mm.
But like it was pointless anyway because it's like I feel like even for students now, I think like honestly I don't even think my parents forced me, but I grew up with the idea I have to go to uni, and like there's literally nothing at uni that I wanted to do.
Mm.
And it's like after someone who hated school for 12 years or whatever, like I already know that I don't like school. Why would I want to go in more years of study for something I'm not interested in? So it's like I did study a bit and then I didn't finish. I didn't finish the degree. I just
What degree did you start?
Media and communications.
Okay. Well, that sort of aligns like with the stuff that you wanted to do, but it just
Not really. It was literally me going like, oh, what's the least worst thing I could do with my grade that I can... In my head, I just want to be a high achiever of some sort.
Mm.
So as a kid, I was like, it's not plausible. It doesn't make sense, but I wanted to go to Harvard as a kid.
Yeah.
And now it just makes zero sense because I hated study. Like Harvard, highly competitive, like highly competitive, like high achiever, like that kind of environment, American universities. I would have hated it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have gotten in, but like I would have
Don't they have
hated
like
it.
a high requirement? Like I think if you're Asian, you got to do even better on the test or something like that. They've
I
got
think
like
they
some
have
reverse
like
racist
they've
entry
got
requirements.
what are those like? What's the word where they segregate?
Like quota.
Quota. Yeah,
yes.
yeah. I think they have quotas. Yeah, but either way, it's like not for me. Study's not for me.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you would have thought that that's what you wanted to do, and then obviously when you get to the end of year 12 and it's like, okay, what the hell am I going to do?
It's like I didn't want to do it, but I had the idea that I should do that because it's like the most successful thing you can do.
Mm.
So
But
I even thought, should I do medicine?
So what did you define as success back then?
Just being like doing the thing that like the least number of people could do. That was like the most selective, the most, what's the word? I don't know. I guess the most well thought of.
Mm.
Yeah.
And was there ever any pressure from your parents to do X, Y, and Z?
I don't know, to be honest. I guess so. Because it's like you always go to get into like good schools, and like I was so bad at math, so it like really pissed me off. This was like a constant because I was like not a good kid, and like because I just want to do whatever I want. I was good at some things, but like Asian parents, they want you to be good at the maths and sciences.
You got to be good at academics, yeah.
Yeah, and I struggled a lot with maths. So I was just really bad, and so of course I got sent to Kumon.
Mm.
That's like the rite of passage for every Asian.
I didn't do Kumon, but I did like other versions of it. Yeah.
Were you good at maths though?
Yeah, but I still had to go to do tutoring.
Oh.
Yeah, I did all the tuitions.
Oh shit!
Funnily enough, I ran into this guy that at one of my other mates had his birthday party like only a few weeks ago, and like it was just at one of the friends' apartments or something like that. And I'm sitting there on the couch, and then this guy turns up to the party, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and like we recognized each other straight away. And
Kumon.
It was from tuition, and
Oh,
it was from
no.
tuition, and we would have been like in year 3 or 4 or some shit like that,
Really?
like really young, right?
Yeah.
But we just looked at each other and we recognized each other straight away, and we were like, we worked it out in like maybe a minute that's where it was from. And I was like, I remember you because you were like this Asian kid who your English was shit house because you're a fob, and like, but you used to bring Dragon Ball like cartoons, like he was really good at drawing.
Yeah.
And that's what I remembered him for. And he was like, oh yeah. And like, and then turns out, we had like common friends anyway, but
Yeah.
it was just really random, like to see somebody from that, I met so long ago, and I could still recognize the
Yeah,
guy,
that's so weird.
like however many, 30 something years on.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he could recognize you as well.
Yeah. Like we straight away, as soon as he walked in, we both looked at each other, and it was just like, fuck, I know you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
There's people that I see them now and it's slightly out of context and I have no idea who they are. Yeah.
Oh, that would happen a lot, especially like in like martial arts setting, because like you're so used to seeing people either in a gi or in like what they train in,
Yeah.
and then you see them outside and they might be in their work attire, and it's like, wait, who are you?
But people will know me. That's a problem. They'll be like, oh, hey, and like call me by name. I'll be like, hey. And then later I'll be like,
Who is that?
I'm with Jeremy or someone. Like, I have no idea who that person was. They knew me by name. I don't know who they were. Or like they look familiar, but I have no idea where I met them. And yeah.
Is that more related to the eyesight though? Like, is it
It
like
could be related to
contacts,
potentially a lot of things.
Yeah.
None of them are good. I don't know. But yeah, going back to like schooling. Yeah, doing Kumon.
Yeah.
And I think I was so dumb at maths. They have like the Kumon booklets that they go to this center.
Yep.
And then they give you all this like homework to take home. It's like so shit. Or like, no, you have to sit in the center for an hour and do fucking homework. Like, as if I don't do this in school. Like, why do you force me? You know, when you go to your parents, I hate you. Like, why do you force me to suffer so much? Like, you're the worst parents in the world. Like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, I'm going to die. But it literally was because, like, as if I hadn't done this, suffered enough. You go there after school and sit in a center and do maths for another, like, hour. You go home and take home more booklets full of maths.
Yeah.
And you have to go do them for another several hours after dinner or whatever.
Yeah.
And your dad stands over you and you've got like tears dripping down onto the booklet. Like, this is...
I hate you. Why are you doing this to me? Because you're shit at it.
Yes. People think that's a joke, but this is literally like my childhood. And I was so dumb at it. They started me on the booklets for like either like kindy kids or what. Like, this is in like year 5. Their booklets were like 1 + 1, 0 + 1 because they thought I was so dumb at maths. I'd be like, oh my God. I really, like, I think I can do this. I can do 0 + 1, I think. But like, they still made me do it. Like, I hate this so much.
Yeah. It's like belittling you. It's like, yes, I'm bad at it, but now you're just making me like...
But it was
it's
so important to Chinese parents. Like, I was good at art. I was good at drawing and like creative writing and stuff like that. I was like, all right at other stuff, but I was just not very good at maths, like just not mathematical. I was good at creative stuff. But they wouldn't be, like my mom let me do whatever. Like she encouraged me to pursue my hobbies or whatever, be draw and stuff like that. But she'd be not be like, you need to go to art school and you need to like draw more. But like the stuff that I hate, they'd be like, you need to do this.
Yeah.
And
yeah, well,
like,
we out of curiosity, were your parents, did they migrate to Australia? Like, were they the ones that migrated or was your grandparents?
my parents lived in like America, Canada, but they did come from it. Like my mum came from Hong Kong.
Yep.
Yeah. So like they're not exactly traditional, but like, yeah, I don't know. It's just Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think, most Asian parents, especially if they've come like from an overseas country and they're trying to establish a life, right? They're really focused on academics and stuff like that. Yeah, sorry, someone's just coming to the door. Yeah, and so because they want, they want their kids to have a stable life because they didn't necessarily have stability because they had moved from country to country or whatever else.
Yeah.
You
My
know?
mum I think my mum always actually used to say like, white people always say like they want their kids to be happy. No, we don't want our kids to be. I can't remember what she wanted your kids to be. I think we want our kids to be, I actually can't remember, but it was like something about like, we don't want our kids to be happy. We want our kids to be like healthy. I can't
Successful.
remember. Yeah, successful. It could have been that. Like, yeah, it could have been that. But yeah. Another thing was like, I don't know if you went through this, but the Chinese kids, Chinese school.
Yeah.
It's like,
I did 11 years of it.
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like on Saturday morning, everyone's watching cartoons or like playing sports or like eating breakfast, and the Chinese kids are going to Chinese school.
Yeah.
It's like the worst thing ever. I hated it.
I was really good up until maybe like year 6. And then
Same.
And then at year 6, I think I took like a little bit of time off and I just got left behind, and it just was never the same after that. Like I just couldn't catch up. And so like I would be there, but like,
I think because around that time it starts getting really hard.
Maybe, but I just feel like, I just never caught up like after, because I was one of those kids where my mum would make me do like the speech contests and all that sort of stuff, and I used to do really well, and I would like, even like a few years, there was always me and this other kid who was like he was a halfie, and so I think probably the last year that I did it, the halfie kid beat me, and there's
Like speaking in Chinese?
yeah, like doing like, you got to recite, a story
Yeah.
in Chinese.
Yeah.
And my mum will like, put a lot of effort into like, find some story and then make me memorize it.
Yeah.
And, you recite it in front of like the rest of the school kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah. I did that shit too.
Yeah. And then, and then after that, like I just sort of, because you don't really see where it might be of use. And so then you sort of switch off a little bit. And especially after you fall behind a little bit, it's like you struggle to keep up. And so the only thing that fixed my Chinese was after when I went to, like when I was in uni, I went, back to Singapore for a while. And then I was living with my my grandma and my aunties, and they can't speak any English. And so that was the only thing that fixed my Chinese. And then, just being in the environment and having to speak it every day. And then, I'm like at an okay level now.
Yeah, I feel like as long as you know a little bit, speaking wise, you just have to go speak to people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you'd be fine. I think I'd be the same. It's the reading and writing part to me that's so hard. Because, like, I remember, I think I was similar, like, year 6 or something. It's like, I think it also starts getting really hard. But at the same time, it's like, okay, nearly high school or whatever, and I really don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to study, and it's getting harder, and, like, got other stuff on. And I used to be, like, I used to get, like, 100 every time. It's like Asian parents' dream. Every week, Chinese, of course, it's such a Chinese thing. Chinese school, every week there's a fucking test. And then, like, every week when I was little, I would get 100, 100, 100 every time. And then after a while, it started being, like, 80, 40, like... And I think, like, a couple years on, after, like, it got so bad, they just let me quit eventually.
You're embarrassing us.
Yeah, literally. I feel like they actually went on, there's no point in her keep going to this Chinese school.
Yeah.
May as well, like, not keep failing. May as well just not do it.
Yeah.
But I remember there was one time I just started... It got so bad and I hated studying. Like, I hated, like, actually, like, working. I started cheating in the tests.
Yep. Oh, that's normal.
So I, like, just take a pencil case. But I thought I was so smart.
You
like,
write it on the rubber?
Yeah, write it on a rubber, or, like, had a piece of, like, cardboard inside my pencil case. And I just pull the cardboard out. But I thought I was so diabolical. But the teacher, like, the teacher obviously saw. She, like, came up to me and she took me outside and she was like... I know, whatever it is in Chinese, I know you cheated on this test. And she was so disappointed. And I was like, I didn't like being caught. I just wanted to do whatever I wanted, but it mortified me to get caught.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, you are so stupid. Of course you'll get caught. You did it in the most obvious way possible. You literally, like, pulled a piece of paper out of your pencil case and looked at it. Like, you could have done something smarter. But that was probably why I was failing in the first place, because I wasn't very smart.
Out of curiosity, and the reason why I bring this up is because, like, my parents always used to compare me to, like, another like family friend's kid, and that really, like, pissed me off.
Oh yeah.
Did you get that?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know that they didn't have any friends.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I got compared, but I feel like they wanted me to do well. So I feel like I envied, like, say if I had white friends and the kids with the cool parents that, like, they talk to their kids about boys and, like, they let them do whatever, and, like, they're, like, really cool and they let you swear and they talk about parties and sex education and shit. I'm like, oh, your parents are, like, so cool. I just want to live here. It's not, I don't know. Chinese parents aren't cool most of the time.
Yeah, well, I think, Chinese parents also don't really know how to have, like, they feel like, they're trying to prepare you for the world in a specific way, and anything that is outside of, like, the normal boundaries of what they're accustomed to is probably, seen as controversial or weird. So they just rather not approach that topic.
Yeah, but it's like, doesn't make sense, because my mom's, like, overprotective. So it's like, it doesn't make sense to, like, shield your child from all these things that aren't even necessarily bad things.
Yeah, but
that's what I always thought. I'm like,
if I show you some of, like, the messages that I get from my mum,
oh yeah,
like, you just be like, well, yeah, like, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like, I get messages about, you know, if I went out to dinner or like lunch with my mum or something like that, and I haven't seen her in like say 3 months or something like that, and let's say for that particular day I haven't shaved in a while, she'll send me a message that evening and be like, "Hey Johnny, make sure you shave because it's not presentable, and you need to make a good impression at your workplace." Like she'll send me messages like that, and it's like, okay. And then let's say I'm cleanly shaven, and let's say I buzzed my hair, like I've just gone to like a 2 or something like that. She'll go, "Johnny, you need to grow your hair back. It's not presentable to have too short hair." Right? Like I can't fucking win. Like that's exactly how it is.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So for other people that might resonate with this line of thinking, you know, all that happens is as you get older, you just don't really tell your parents that much. You know, it's a little bit sad, you know, but like
I think I was always like that.
yeah. But you just don't want to tell them as much because it's just like no matter what you do, they're never going to be, you know, there's always going to be something that's they're not happy about. You know, I didn't used to tell my parents when I would go compete, I wouldn't tell them about that. And it's like, you know, I was saying, in another podcast just recently, it's like, you know, my parents were like, "Oh, I'll put you into karate so you can toughen up because you're a bit of a crybaby." And then, you know, you really get into it and you start wanting to like compete and things like, "Oh no, don't do that. It's dangerous."
Yeah.
So you can't win.
But that's why I don't tell I only talk to my mom really. I don't speak to any of my family. But like, so I'll tell my mom, my mom knows I would do martial arts, but she's never with combat sports, but she's never really approved. So I was like, it's dangerous. Like she just doesn't approve. And she's got this thing about like those people, like who are those people? Like we are someone else, like, you know, they don't like us. You've got to be careful of those people. I'm like, I am those people. Yeah. Like I'm all, whatever you think those people are, that's me. She's got this sort of elitist, not elitist mindset, but like classist mindset. Which like, have you heard of like the term like hardang? Like lower class, like people do things like boxing or like martial arts or like literally anything that I do. Yeah. Anything dangerous, literally anything that I do, or like thugs do it. Yeah. But then again, this is coming from a lady who would be like, you can't wear jewelry because like you can't paint your nails because cults will come and kidnap you because they think you're appealing to them. Like literally, like I used to like painting my nails black or whatever and like wear like rings. And like, no, you can't wear that. Like, but yeah, so has this thing about like those people, like be careful. Like, you know, she accepts what I do, but it's like, just be careful of going to those places all the time because those people might be dangerous. Like what people?
That's why we come here to,
you know,
to
like
learn to be dangerous.
like rough people. Like I must be. That's what I am then. Like if that's what you think, then that's me. And just like,
So then, you know, I'm very curious about how like you've sustained yourself monetary wise over the years. Like what sort of jobs have you done, and like
a bit of this and a bit of that.
Yeah. Like this.
Yeah, literally like a bit of this and a bit of that. Like, I coach. Yep. I worked in I think I'm trying to get this job back, but I just did like warehouse work. So, you know, bread warehouse, like packing at night. I just want night jobs because it doesn't waste my time. Like I don't like jobs that take up my time during the day. And I'm a very night owl, so I'll stay up half the night anyway. So I'm like, I want to get jobs at night. Yeah. So I was like, all right, like packing bread in a warehouse, like getting that bread every day.
Literally.
Yeah, like, coaching privates, like, so if anyone wants to do privates, like hit me up. Okay. Yeah. Worked in a magazine for a while. Oh, what kind of magazine? But I've predominantly been coaching. It was basically, have you heard of People magazine? Yep. Yeah, so Australian People. Okay. So it was a men's mag. Yep. So that was fun. Yeah. Yes. And then what the magazine closed down.
What kind of a role were you doing there?
Just a writer.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's pretty fun. Like it's fun in the sense that I feel like it appeals to me that it's not something that a lot of people, not a lot of people do. And it was also like very quirky material. So there's a lot of literally like writing like soft porn kind of thing.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah. And interviewing porn stars, or like I got to do random interviews as well, like interview quite a lot of cool people, and like they knew that I was into like combat sports, I was watching like into UFC, boxing, all that stuff. So like if there was any cool sports people, I get to interview those. So, or any like fighters, I get to interview those. So it was quite interesting. But like the thing is, it's like one of those jobs where lots of people want, because it was like, I feel like I started at a bad time because magazines dying, like, and the magazine eventually died, like the publishing, the magazine industry was already like on its way out. But I still feel like those kinds of jobs people wanted, but it didn't pay well. Like it was terrible pay. But I just did it because I was like, well, this is quite cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also really didn't like being in an office.
Yeah, okay.
So
But you wouldn't
I
always...
actually just hate being stuck in an office 9 to 5 sitting down. It's like, so like I'm also not very good at it. So like I'd procrastinate a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But it was cool because you just got to do whatever, like as long as you just write up the stories. And
Did you have a pen name or did you just use your normal name?
my name, like the byline, it doesn't usually appear, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like everyone had their own sort of set, like it was very small, the staff. So we were in, I think we had 4 people on our magazine. And then we shared the office with like all the other men's magazines. So there's Picture. I don't know if you know Picture.
No.
I think that died. It was a really famous Aussie men's magazine that was around for quite a while. I think it's like another like girly magazine, I guess. And then there was something else, Picture Premium, which is like the explicit one.
Yep.
But like we were small. So there were the 2 or 3 writers and then the guy who, the editor of our mag. And so everyone had their own area. Like one person would do this segment, this segment, this segment. One person would do this segment, this segment, this segment every week or every fortnight. And then outside of that, then you have whatever random interviews or news stories or like other stuff. So it was interesting, yeah.
So what was the ratio of soft porn versus interviews that you had to do? Was it like, okay, Janice, we want you to write us a weekly soft porn article and you can do an interview once every month?
Maybe like 3 to 4 kind of, like I don't know, 80% kind of thing.
Was for soft porn.
But then I also did like jokes, like it was sort of it's like a tongue-in-cheek magazine, so it's like humor. So I would like compile all the jokes and like whatever, like weird news stories and like this and that, and then
Did you enjoy creative writing?
Yeah. I like it.
So then did you like have, I don't know, did you have to draw inspiration from random places or?
Honestly, when I first started, it was embarrassing. Like, it's embarrassing to write. So they had these things, like, I don't even know how the magazine survived for so long because the internet means you don't have to look at a magazine or that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I think it was, like, popular in, like, small rural areas or, like, on a mining site or something where, like, maybe the internet wasn't so good or, like, older guys, like, old men, literally, like, it would be old men who wrote in and, like, stuff like that. Sometimes you get a letter, like, they're sending in jokes and you can see, like, the spidery writing of, like, a 900-year-old man. Yeah. And, like, you can tell.
What would they write about?
Same guys.
Like, what would they write?
Well, they have, like, jokes segments where you get, like, $20 if your jokes get published or whatever.
Oh, that's good.
So because sometimes people would buy the magazines for, like, the money or, like, there's games and stuff you can win money on. So, like, I feel like a lot of the old guys buy it for that and they'd literally send snail mail in with a joke on a piece of paper. It's a bit sad. I feel like these people have no lives. Like, you recognize the handwriting, they've written down. Yeah, the same person sending in things, or, like, some of them would just email repeatedly, like, their jokes trying to get published so they can win $20 or whatever.
Okay, wow.
But, yeah, it was interesting. So, yeah, what I was saying before is, like, I think, so it's, like, mostly, like, pictures. So it's, like, topless girls, like, naked girls, whatever. Some of them come with interviews. Some of the interviews are real. Some of the interviews are fake. So, like, every so often, I think they could actually do a real interview with a person. And sometimes they just get some stock image from, like, Russia or whatever. They'll be like, okay, this girl, like, you write up her interview. So you make up a fake. It was actually, like, super fun. Like, you just make up the interview, like, ask some raunchy question and she answers. whatever like raunchy reply. But yeah, when I first started, it was like embarrassing. I'm like, I have to write like, I don't know. It's just embarrassing because then you like write whatever weird shit, and you have to write to a little bit of a voice. Like there's certain things you should avoid saying or like whatever. But then you have to like pass it over to the sub editor and like the editor to look at. And I'm like, this is so embarrassing. Like you're reading this shit that I wrote.
Yeah.
How embarrassing.
Yeah, and they know it's you that wrote
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
And when it's published, nobody knows that it was you.
Yeah, but like they're all doing it, but it's still kind of embarrassing. But then like you get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're desensitized to it after that, right?
Yeah, just write how you, I don't know, you just do what you need to do.
It's a job.
Yeah, it's fun. No, it was heaps fun. It was just like, ew, this is cringy. Yuck. But I don't know.
It'll put you in some pretty weird like mental spaces when you have to think about this stuff, right?
Not really. I like say like the guy who sat in a little like cubicle of 4, and the guy so they had sections where it's like real life women kind of thing, send photos in. They just, some of them just like being exhibitionists. You don't get maybe like $50 or something, or $25 if your photo gets published.
Wow.
And those ones, they actually call you and do a little short interview with you. So if you like send your photo and it get published, this guy who worked opposite me, he would call them all up and be like, hey, and ask them random questions. So I just hear him going like, hey, like, he was so cool. He was so deadpan about it. He's like, hey, this is Carl from People magazine. And some of them didn't even remember what magazine they'd sent the photos to.
Wow.
Be like, oh, it's People magazine. And she must be like, oh, okay. So, can you do your interview now? Yes, okay. Like, so like, do you like being shit on or like something weird? Like in the end, I remember him actually saying that. And then I heard like, so like, how much would you have to get paid? Oh, you do it for free. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, like, thanks, bye. And like, he was so like casual about it.
Yeah.
I actually remember that interview, they didn't use it because you couldn't.
Yeah, what are you
couldn't say that. It was too much. Like you couldn't talk about
too far.
scat. Yeah.
Yeah.
He should have known that, but like he's into
It was probably for his own self-interest, right?
Yeah. No, but he was so
like
deadpan.
The biggest grin on his face.
No, he
you just can't see
saw
his face. His voice is deadpan, but he's like, yeah.
I don't think so. I think he was just like, yeah, like, okay, like, yeah, you know, blah, blah, blah. It was just like an everyday thing to him.
Yeah.
It was just funny to hear coming from the other side of the desk.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting experience. So, like, where was their office out of curiosity?
It's like in the city.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, the magazines had a big office on Elizabeth Street. So I think all the fashion mags and all that, all based in the same place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So I got to ask this question because it's half a joke question, but there might be some truth in it. But you know, the speculation from some of the guys was that you've got a secret feet OnlyFans. Is that true?
Oh, I wish.
No?
Maybe I could make some money.
Well, you know.
Who said that?
All I can say is that, you know, for this podcast, you put on socks beforehand. And it was like,
My foots get cold.
Is that a coincidence or is there something more at play here? But anyway.
Coincidence? I think yes. I never heard that rumor. That's funny to me. My feet aren't very nice. I do it, but I feel like my partner wouldn't be happy with it, so I avoid that. Yeah.
Even if it was just feet?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think like I wouldn't do it because he once asked me like, you know, what if I did OnlyFans and like say I did jiu-jitsu techniques?
Yeah.
I'd be like, no, if you can do it, I can do it. I 100% knew that he wouldn't be happy with me doing it.
No. Oh, well, okay, hang on.
But it's like
no, because technically he is kind of doing that, just not on OnlyFans. He's doing it on Atomic Dojo.
Yeah, but like if it's on OnlyFans,
yeah,
it's immediately assumed that I would be doing something sexual because I'm female.
Okay.
So like for whatever reason,
so maybe you need like
he would not be happy with me on the platform at all, which is fine. That's totally fine. But
like
I wouldn't be happy with him on the platform.
So maybe you need like Foot Dojo.
Foot Dojo.
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm gonna keep that one and write it down in my imaginary notebook.
So
I'm just writing that down now.
In other words, like in 4 years' time.
In 4 years' time, yes.
Foot Dojo.
Yes.
Subscribe.
I feel like I would get. I feel like people think it's weird, but I think the foot fetish is just much more common than anyone likes to admit.
Well, like, so, and the other thing that, like, when I heard this speculation,
I want to hear who said this speculation.
I honestly can't remember. I honestly cannot remember, because it was just like, I think it was like, you know, I was just we were talking in the gym about like occupations or something like that. And then, yeah, somebody had said, maybe has speculated that, you know, part of how Janice, you know, makes money is through some secret, you know, foot OnlyFans type thing.
I feel flattered that they think my feet are in
you
good enough
post, because you posted a story where it was the one where Jeremy, I thought it was Jeremy fucking using a pepper grinder.
Oh,
And
yeah.
He was grinding coffee and you blurred your feet.
Of course I'd blur my feet. It's private. Yeah, it's private. Like, I don't know. I think Instagram will like cancel the story if you don't censor certain things. You get shadow banned.
What, for fees?
I don't know. It's just special area.
All right, let's move on. But anyway, if Foot Dojo comes out, I would like
Maybe
to claim
in like
some
7
credit.
years' time. Okay, I'll credit you. If I ever get round to doing it, yes. It's in the pipeline. Just like all the shows that people recommend I watch, the books people recommend I read.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, I wanted to ask, you know, so when you started martial arts, what art did you start with?
I actually did like a bunch of stuff at once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I just hopped from one gym to another. I literally even when I just worked full-time hours, I still train in the morning and sometimes train at lunch. I'd go in the evening, train for like 4 or 5 hours, whatever.
Yeah.
It'd be perplexing to me that people didn't have time. But then people have lives. I didn't have life. Like, that would be my life. But yeah, I did like kung fu. I did
Which one?
wushu.
Wushu, where at?
I think actually my very, very first one that I didn't really stay that long was Wing Chun.
Okay, at Jim, where
At Jim Fung's one, yeah. And I actually loved it because I was naive at the time. Like, it's like whatever, a kid thinking, oh, like, you know, this is so cool. I actually really liked the theory of it. But then when it came down to it, the instructors were like these big, fat, middle-aged men that kept talking about how all their students would win fights. And they kept saying like, you know, like, Sifu does this, and like Sifu, all your answers to any questions were, yeah, but when Sifu does it, like, you just die. Like, yeah, Sifu would stop that in an instant. And even I kind of was like, I don't know, but I enjoyed training. But I also wanted to do something where like I admired the coach. Or like I looked at the coach and I was like, that's what I want to be like.
Yeah.
And it was just not very aesthetic to me.
Yeah.
It's a bit too... Firstly, I felt like that it was really lame that they were all so fat. And out of... like their ethos was, we want to use as much energy, as little energy as possible. And to me, I was like, I don't want to use as little energy as possible. I want to burn as much energy as possible.
Yeah. I
want to do the coolest things where it's like, we want to minimize any movement. So I enjoyed doing it, but like... yeah, eventually I sort of fell out of it because I replaced it with other things. I did wushu, and then I did Muay Thai, boxing, all at the same time.
All at the same time?
Yeah.
And did you find it, you know, that some of the, what's the right word, like the mentality, not necessarily mentality, but like the principles in each of the different styles, did they often contradict each other for you?
The main thing that I found was like you know how there's that martial arts argument between disciplines? It's like, this is the best martial art, that's the best martial art. What I found was everywhere I went, they would all tell me this was the martial art that beat every other martial art.
Yeah.
So like, if I were that naive and I never went anywhere else, perhaps I would be brainwashed into thinking like this is the best martial art. But because I tried so many things and they literally all tell you the same thing. So it's like Wing Chun would say like, yeah, Wing Chun beats boxing because of centerline theory. Like, just say the boxer throws a punch. This is how a boxer throws a punch. Then the Wing Chun centerline strike is going to be so much faster. And then like, okay, whatever. But then like, you know, boxing, even like boxers, that it's a bit different with boxers, but like, you know, Asian martial arts, I feel like a lot of times, same thing. Like,
yeah,
Muay Thai, they'd be like, Muay Thai is the most devastating martial art, blah, blah, blah. Like, Kung Fu is the best, this and that. Or like karate, and like, they would all say this one is the best.
Yeah.
And to me, it was like, hey guys, you're all the best.
Yeah.
I like all of it. I actually like all of it. It's all cool. It just became a matter of time. Like, there's only so many things I could do, and they were all cool, and I liked aspects of all of them.
Yeah.
And even now, people will say, like, this martial art's so stupid. Like, Taekwondo is stupid. I'm like, no, Taekwondo is sick. Like, if you're like,
Can do those kicks.
if you can do those kicks, if you're a good Taekwondo kicker, you're amazing. But to me, I'm very like a fan of aesthetics. So like, if you can make a movement look cool, if you can do it in the most athletic way possible, that to me is an appeal. So like, one thing I just hate this stupid saying, like, when people talk about, oh yeah, but it's not realistic. Like, realistic for what?
Yeah.
It's realistic for you doing Taekwondo, or like, weights is realistic for you getting stronger. Like, what do you mean realistic? If you train for ballet and you train ballet specific exercises, it's realistic for you doing ballet. What are you talking? Realistic for what exactly? I'm not training. Say like, if I wanted to do a combat sport, I'm not doing combat sport so that I can make my everyday life more functional, or I can be a better swimmer. Doing it so I can be good at whatever combat sport I'm doing.
Yeah.
So like, if your goal is to be good at a good Taekwondo kicker and to kick really high, then doing Taekwondo kicks is like realistic for you being a high kicker.
Yeah.
But like, I think they refer to it in the sense of self-defense, but like, depends if your goal is self-defense or not.
Well,
And my goal is not, absolutely isn't.
Yeah, I think self-defense is the biggest myth that is peddled by majority of martial arts.
Oh yeah, I think it's a dangerous myth.
Yeah.
That's a big red flag. To me, that's a big jiu-jitsu red flag. They talk about self-defense.
Well, one of the things like that is popular when people Google search, martial arts to try and learn, they Google self-defense. So it's more become a marketing term as to anything that's actually related to defending yourself, right? Because at the end of the day, there are so many different circumstances where whatever you learn in the gym is never going to be useful for you, whether like, and, when I say that, it's like there's a large proportion of situations where jiu-jitsu will be very useful for you, right? But there's also situations where they're not going to be as useful, right? And so, yeah, like not even just, talking about jiu-jitsu, whether it's boxing, whether it's wrestling, whether it's kung fu, whether it's any martial art, right? Like there are definitely things that will stack the odds in your favor. And training in those particular disciplines will probably help you in as long as you've got some form of like live rounds, or pressure testing, so to speak. Because without that, like part of the reason why wushu came about was because they banned fighting, right? Like, so it became more about performance, and the movements became more flowery because that's what they could score versus what was effective. Right. And so, I always go back to this idea that, the only thing that makes the style, so whether we talk about, say, Taekwondo versus karate, what are the differences in the style? It's actually the points on how it's scored in competition. Right. So, karate has become more like point fighting, at least from the Olympic version. I'm not talking about karate combat. And Taekwondo, has also become slightly different. In the past, there was a lot more, I think, and I'm happy for someone to prove me wrong on this, but like I think Taekwondo in the past used to have a lot more, head kick knockouts and things like that, whereas nowadays people are just trying to score their points, so they want to just touch the head. So the leg dexterity has changed. Like people in Taekwondo, especially Olympic level, like their leg dexterity is absolutely phenomenal, but it's so they can score points, whereas, like, so even, you think about the delineation between judo and jiu-jitsu, right? It's purely about rule set, right? Massive change when judo changed their rules to no longer allow grabbing of the pants, right? So it changed the whole style. In boxing, boxers have that specific style because there's no leg kicks. It's the rules that determine, the style of the fight. You can't use, back fists. You can't throw like slapping style hooks. You have to make sure the palms are turned in or turned down. So all of those things, all they do is they just delineate the style. It's just really just a difference in rules. But when you take away the rules, like that's why I think mixed martial arts is probably the best test. But even that,
But
you
still,
know?
mixed martial arts is
Still
still
sport.
defined by boundaries. So I feel like, I guess it's hard for me to really say, because I never felt the need to learn for self-defense. It's just a personal thing. My goal was something else. So my goal was to fight, to perform, to get athletic, to learn certain skills, to compete, whatever.
Yep.
Self-defense never factored into it. So I can't relate. But I do feel like a lot of people do feel like that's important.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's kind of, it leads to a kind of dangerous, I don't know if you've seen like a lot of self-defense like videos or coaches that claim to teach self-defense, or even done those classes where I feel like it's just not smart to teach people to do certain things and then expect that within like an hour, people are going to know how to use this specific move in a like confrontation or whatever. Especially like people that run courses, people that run like women's self-defense courses. It's like, okay, 2 hours. In case of like, if someone attacks you, you do this, this, and this.
You kick it, you knee them in the nuts and you stomp on their foot and you poke them in the eyes.
Yeah, like,
Is that what they taught you?
I've never done one. I don't know. I've seen these things happen though. And like, to be fair, I haven't used those. I haven't used those things. It hasn't happened to me. So I'm like, I can't tell you if that's right or wrong. But so it's hard for me to speak on. However, I do feel like the potential for these people to be able to replicate these things under a situation like where they're under huge amounts of stress, where they're probably they're already like not strong necessarily. They probably don't remember what was taught. They can't apply it like they could within the 2 hours. Like, I feel like the chances of that, along with the chances of it having worked, like, I don't know if these things necessarily work. I feel like that's low, and it's quite, I think it's dangerous to sort of sell something that people will trust that it will help save their lives.
It's become a
and
marketing
it doesn't.
tool.
It's like, I could train for 10 years. Well, I've seen people have been trained by me. I've seen people in my classes who they've trained so long and they don't physically get any better. How can you teach someone in like an hour or two, like how to fend off an attacker?
Yeah.
In a situation that's so much more like fear-filled and like dangerous than say like a class. Yeah, it's where everything's controlled. I don't know. I just think it's wrong to teach these things.
It's a marketing tool. You know, they use it as a means to sort of, you know, sell something, so to speak. Because that, like, you know, the idea that you could do a course and suddenly, you know, you've got all the skills to defend yourself, like it's not realistic.
Yeah, I think that's unrealistic when people go like, oh, but this is realistic. That's not realistic. I feel like that stuff is the least realistic for whatever you're referring to.
Well, that's what, like, for me, like, I sort of, you know, I'm not going to force it on my kids, but like, I want my girls to all do jiu-jitsu just from the perspective of like, when are you most likely to get in trouble? It's probably like in a one-on-one scenario with a male, so to speak. And so having those skills and being able to like maneuver yourself on the ground is probably going to be much more beneficial for females. And then from my son's perspective, like typically when does like he's probably got to do both. You know, he's got to do jiu-jitsu and he's got to do some stand-up, because the reality is when do guys mostly get in trouble? It's like fist fights on the playground, or it's like, you know, fist fights in general at a pub, you name it. But like bullying, but all that stuff, like, you know, all the martial arts in the world doesn't help you if you get king hit. You know, all the martial arts in the world doesn't help you if you get roofied, right? So, you know, like there's so much more when you actually talk about self-defense that is actually not in the actual combat sport itself. It's about like awareness. It's about like, you know, teaching people about, you know, not being silly, like, you know, keeping an eye on their drinks, you know, not taking drinks from random strangers. Like, it's more like that sort of stuff, I think, is more self-defense oriented than actual combat sports.
The problem, I think, sort of the fallacious way of thinking is that people go like, well, you know, the point of self-defense is I can use this move to fight off an attacker. Like, you know, I just see red and I'll just go like throw up a triangle, and then I feel like the chances of you doing that are unlikely, or that situation would have to be contrived so that you manage to pull off your move, whatever. Yeah.
I had a mate in one of my uni mates, and he was a bouncer. He's a big guy, right? And he used to be a bouncer at a club called Maloney's, or pub called Maloney's in the city. And he was telling me this story about like, this, like a dude that they had to throw out. He must have been on ice or something, right? And like, he's apparently like, you know, the guy's on the ground and he's like still fighting, and they're literally like stomping on his nuts to try and like, you know, make this guy stop fighting, right? And the guy
It's like
was
the
just
cockroach that doesn't die.
well, like he was that iced up or whatever
yeah.
that he didn't care that people were stomping on his nuts, and he just kept fighting. And it's like, you know, in a situation like that, yeah, like you, like all the skills in the world won't necessarily help you if the person just doesn't go down, right?
It reminds me of Kel in his like when he did that class where he's like, people you have to roll for an unlimited time with your partner until both people give up.
Yeah.
I think he's rolling with Tony Tran.
Yeah.
Like smaller Asian guy, if he's listening to this, smaller than Kel. And Kel's like getting so mad, throwing him. Can hear Kel like screaming as he like throws the guy over and over again. I'm like, this poor guy.
Yeah.
Like
He wants him to quit.
yeah, he wants him to quit, and like the guy's not giving up. And then later I said to Kel, like, what's up with that? Like, what were you doing? And Kel was like, oh, I thought it was you have to make the other person give up. I was like, no, both people have to agree to give up. And he's like, oh, he just wouldn't give up. And I was like, the poor guy.
You just thrown him.
He was just trying to like destroy the guy. I was like, Kel in never give up mode is like fearsome.
You know when the throat
Admirable.
singing comes on.
Oh yeah.
The Mongolian throat singing starts, and like
I hate it.
a drum beat. And it's just like,
hate
we're
it.
going to war.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then,
Well, so sorry, what were
no,
you
you
gonna
go,
say?
you go.
Like speaking on self-defense, because I feel like I do have opinions on this that maybe it's helpful, maybe it's not relevant. I don't know how many people can relate, but because I can't really relate to the need for self-defense, because I feel like, well, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. I'm done. No need to defend myself. But like, I feel like the most valuable thing that combat sports has given me in terms of self-defense is that, so every day you're training, like, it's very physical. It's contact. So it's constant contact with bigger people, with men, with like other women. People are trying to like submit you or put you in a claustrophobic like physical situation, sweaty, uncomfortable, getting hit, or like, you know, people like striking, you know, getting hit in the face and being okay with that, taking hits, getting thrown, all that stuff. I feel like also like the physical part, like whatever, doing strength and conditioning, I feel like the most valuable thing it's given is like a physical self-confidence. And my opinion is that the physical self-confidence leads to you being less of a victim. So you give sounds weird, but you give the aura, or you give like the energy that you're not walking around being a victim. I feel like maybe I'm just dumb, but like I feel like I don't walk around feeling scared. I don't really care.
Yeah, well, it's confidence through competence.
I follow,
like
I walk around feeling
yeah.
confident. I don't think I'm like, you know, super strong. I also don't feel like, okay, if someone really attacked me, I can just fight them and like kill them, whatever. Like, I don't think anyone can do that. That's very unrealistic, but I feel like just being in sports that puts you in very physical, very like contact situations that include pain, discomfort, people like trying to like submit you, attack you, whatever, it makes you feel physically confident. Then when you give the impression that you are less of a victim, I don't know about, you know, any truth of this, or if there are any stats. I feel like people are less likely to see you as a victim.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most valuable thing. That's what I feel personally. Like, as an opinion, I don't know if that's true or not, but I feel like if you're doing it, asking your kids to do martial arts, I feel like that's something valuable to give them. So it's like, without even thinking about, oh, you know, what situation would they get into that requires them to like move around like this, or like push their attacker, or like do jiu-jitsu. It's more like, no, you give them self-confidence. You give them the feeling that they can do this tough physical thing, because there's also, you know, the tough physical side. Like, it's hard. Sometimes it's just, you know, what's the word? You need to use fitness. You need to use, it's resistance. It's not easy. It's not always fun. That kind of thing. And you give them the feeling that, hey, I can like push that guy around, or I could do this like difficult activity. Sorry.
Oh, good.
Or like, you know, I had a a rolling around with like a really big kid and like I was able to stand my ground. Yeah, I'm tough. Like makes them think that. But if they haven't had that, if they're the kind, if you kind of don't let them do that stuff, you protect them. You're like, oh, you know, you can't do contact sports, you get hurt. Then they'll always think I'm weak. Like I'm small. I'm afraid. I don't know what happens if somebody like pushes me. What does that feel like? But when they know what it feels like, someone grabs them, then there's less fear of that situation. I think that confidence leads. I feel like it helps with bullying. Kids, I guess kids want to target, I don't know, kids are weird. They target people for weird reasons, but they probably see some weakness and they target it.
Yeah. Well, you can't appreciate, you know, that sense of being hurt unless you've been hurt. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when it happens to somebody else, you're just like, oh yeah, well, it's not me, right? But then that's why when, you know, you experience things in life and then you see someone else go through that and it resonates is because you know what that feels like. Yeah. So, and I feel like, you know, going through that through martial arts, you learn what it feels like to be, you know, to be the person that's getting smashed, and then also what it feels like to be the person doing the smashing. You know,
it's also just not, it like reduces like the discomfort because you're used to it. It's like getting hit. Like I always feel like if you want to be a fighter, you got to an extent, I always thought that you want to like getting hit a little bit. Yeah, because you're going to get hit. Yeah. Some people I think don't, but I kind of do. But the very first time I got hit, like I'd never been punched in the face before. My eyes watered. I was like literally crying. I was like, oh no, my contact came out. Like, oh. And like, it's so uncomfortable. Yeah. But then after that happens, it's like you're just getting hit. And I feel like that's actually, you don't have to do a sport where you get hit in the face, but I think it's just like anything. At the start, it's very uncomfortable, but then you just get used to it over time. And I feel like people who have never experienced that discomfort will really like freak out even more during a situation where someone random's attacking them. But you know, it's not to say that you can use your skills to fight them off if you've done boxing or whatever, but at least you'll know like, okay, this is what I know what physical confrontation feels like. I can deal with it. This helps me to get away, or this helps me to fight back, or at least I'm not panicking, or like I get hit in the face and I fall down and like crumble. That's what I think about it anyway.
So did you ever do like girls classes or anything like, sorry, ladies classes I should say? No, you never did it?
No.
And I guess, you know, was there ever a reason for that? Like you just didn't really feel like it resonated for you, or you just enjoyed just jumping straight in?
For me, it's never a determining factor of doing something. It's like if I wanted to do something, I just go and do it. So I wasn't thinking, but I'm a girl. Like, you're like, what happens if I'm a girl? Like, I don't know. I'm just a girl. I'm not thinking about it. I just want to go do the thing. Yeah. So I just join whatever class is available. Maybe when I really first started and there were classes available, I would have done it at the time. But at this point, I wouldn't. It doesn't appeal to me at all. And I also don't like that gender delineation. Or like, I don't know. I feel like it's an unpopular opinion because most people do always think about gender this. I'm a girl. I'm a guy. Like, I just want to do the thing. And I don't really want to be, this sounds so, what's the word? I don't want to be identified by my gender. I just want to walk in and do the thing and like do the thing that I want to do and not be like, oh, but you're a girl. Like you need to go with people, or like girls only want to go with girls. I feel like I don't need to go. I can go with girls. I can go with guys, but it's like I don't always feel like I need to go with people who are always exactly the same as me and can relate to my experience. I don't care. I just want to build the skills in the best way I can. Go with the people who are best to help me with these kinds of skills. Yep. Enjoy myself and not think about that. Like, I feel like, once again, unpopular, like, it's just never appealed to me, I think, because when you think about gender, it's kind of like, especially as like the minority gender, say like female is like minority in most combat sports, which is, to me, it's like neither here and there. It's like I'm not thinking I'm a girl, what now? Like, but like if you're in a class and you just want to roll, I feel like there's times when my training has been compromised because the coach will like automatically like pair me with the only other girl in the room. Yeah. regardless of whether the skill set, their size has anything to do with me. So it may not be the best training partner necessarily, but like it feels like if you think about gender all the time, then it becomes the only thing notable about you. And that annoys me. I feel like I don't want the only thing notable about me to be my gender. Like nobody's going, oh, well, this person's like really skilled. This person's like your level. This person's very challenging. You go with them like, oh, you know, you're a girl. You go together. Like that's all. That's all they look at. Whereas if it's men, I feel like coaches would spend more time going, hey, I got this really like good guy coming in. Like he's your size. He's like a black belt or like this or that. Like you'd roll really well together. You'd learn from him. But like if you're female, they just assume if you're both female, it's like a good partner. And like a lot of times it's not. I feel like, I guess I'm like on the lighter end of the scale. And then it doesn't happen as much anymore, I feel, because I think I've sort of made it, I sort of said my piece about it. I'm like, I don't always appreciate it when it's done wantonly, when it's just like, okay, this is all, just girls go together. It's not that it's bad to go with girls. It's great to go with girls or like anyone who's good to train with, but it also limits your spectrum of training partners.
Yeah.
And then other people or like if you have male training partners in the room who you would otherwise get good rounds with, if you always go in the girls group, it'll be like people don't want to ask you to train because they think they only want to go with women, which I feel like, I guess maybe my opinion is unpopular because a lot of women do want to go with women. But I don't want to say like I'm not supportive of that.
Yeah.
However, I don't really feel the same way, I think. I just want to do...
You're looking at it from the perspective of, you're just purely looking at it from a level perspective. You just go, okay, well, if I, like, you know, I want to roll with people at a similar level to me. I think that's a absolutely fair way.
Or I want to roll with a diverse amount of people. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if they're a good role, like, if someone's decent to roll with it, people have different skill sets. Sometimes you just go with, like, certain girls, like, certain types... They'll only have the one sort of style or skill set. You want to just go with a variety of people, which I, to be honest, I haven't had a hard time doing. So like, I've never really had a hard time getting rounds. Like, you know, unless it's something to do with me, I'm too insecure to ask people or get like low self-esteem moments, like extra low self-esteem moments where I'm like, no one wants to roll with me. I don't ask them. I generally feel like, you know, people are very amenable to rolling, girl or guy or like, whatever.
So do you often have these low self-esteem moments?
Nowadays, sometimes I do. When I first started, I was like the best white belt. I would like roll with everyone. And in my head, everyone liked rolling with me. But it was perfect. I didn't think about like, oh, I'm a girl. Like I should feel different. I should feel nervous. I shouldn't ask this. I was just like, I'm a good training partner. I want to roll. I came to do this. I want to get rounds. I don't want to sit out. I'm going to ask anyone. I'll ask whoever like to roll, and people would just roll with me. It was like so good. It's ironic because it's like the higher the level you get, the more obviously like the more you realize, oh, I'm not that good. Like I thought I was the best white belt ever, but I clearly wasn't. Like clearly I would have gotten better since being a white belt to being a brown belt. But my self-esteem, or like when it comes to jiu-jitsu, now I get the paranoia, oh, no one wants to roll with me. I'm shit. Like, you know, everyone thinks I'm a shit training partner. No one's going to ask me.
So you're just sitting there in the corner.
As a white belt, I was like, everyone wants to roll with me. And they did. So I feel like you bring that energy back to myself.
Maybe they're scared of you, Janice.
Nobody told me they didn't want to roll with me. People would ask me to train. I'd always get training partners when I was a white belt because I had the confidence. It's one of those confidence things. I had the confidence to just be like, oh, hey, I just want to roll.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about this or that or like being a girl or like being a white belt or nobody should roll with white belts. I just did what I wanted. Yeah. When you think too much about that stuff, that's when you start getting insecure, I think.
So, okay, two parts to this question. The first part is whether, like, you know, we're talking about jiu-jitsu here in terms of, like, you know, sometimes you get into that mindset, oh, okay, yeah, maybe they don't want to roll me because I'm shit or whatever. But was that also something that, like a change in outlook in life as well? Like, was there a point where it was like you just... Because you like from before, you were saying, like, you just go deep into things. You just go, yeah, I want to do this, boom. And then you also, you know, made a comment that like, oh yeah, now I'm a bit less motivated nowadays. Like, is there a reason for that, or is it?
I think it's because I I get overly put off by failure. So I get overly discouraged by failure and rejection. So like maybe it's a hypersensitivity to rejection or failure. So which is like terrible because most people who are successful try things, attempt things so many times and they fail a lot of times before they reach success. And the logical part of me knows this. So it's like the logical part of me knows, okay, you fail once, you just have to go do it again.
Yeah.
And then just by you doing it, unless you just get worse and worse, you will eventually win. You have to. But you have to like see through the tough part of those losses or like those failures in order to see the win.
Yeah.
Like you have to ride it through. You can't be like, I give up. And like over the years, I think I get put off by failure or like whatever too easily. So I get discouraged. I get very insecure. Or
have you always been like that though? Or?
Probably. I guess I was used to doing better. So like, I don't know. Yeah.
When you say doing better, is that like off your talent, like your natural ability, or is it like?
I wouldn't say I'm talented.
Or you would put more effort than other people?
I think I did. I put so much more effort. I think like when I was I spent most of my time like before I came here at a mixed martial arts gym that did jiu-jitsu, like Muay Thai, boxing, like all that stuff all together.
Yeah.
And I basically just started doing everything there. And I put like so much more time, I feel like, than everyone else.
Yeah.
So it was like a lot of effort. So I like trained a lot. I'd come and train in the morning. I'd do like private lessons. I'd come at lunchtime. I'd go like several classes in the evening, like every day. But like, I feel like it was a lot more effort. Even when I went to jiu-jitsu, like sometimes the coach he'd treat me like a girl. Like he'd be like, I'd have partnered up with somebody of my choice, or we'd both decided we'll go together. And then I don't know why, it may not be that the right conclusion to draw, but the coach would be like, oh, like, Janice, you go, like, he'd point to my partner and pair them up with someone he thought was better. And I would be left sitting out. And that made me so mad. I'm like, so like what? What am I? Like, I'm not a part of this class. I train more than all of you guys.
So
yet you made me sit out. Like, why did you, I already had a partner. Why did you choose me to sit out? Like, that pissed me, I don't know, that irritated me. Like, so, but then, like, I feel like after a while, all the effort was like, it's absolutely my fault because maybe some things I didn't see through, or like I didn't try and actively get it enough, but it's like, all the effort didn't amount to anything. So it's like, well, it's 100% my fault because of not doing certain things or not taking initiative to do certain things and still putting in the training time. That's the whole reason. But that would be the reason I'd feel bad. But it was like coming out of a choice of my own. So it's kind of, I don't know. But then I'd get inside my head and start thinking about like, I get lost in sort of negative thoughts.
Yeah.
So like.
Well, I think it comes back to that recognition factor. You put in all this effort and it's like, okay,
it's not recognized.
You're not recognizing me.
And it seems like it seems entitled to feel like you should be recognized.
Yeah.
But then, so in a way it seems like arrogant, so it makes me uncomfortable. But then deep down you kind of want recognition.
Yeah.
But it's like, do I deserve it? Probably not.
Yeah, but, well, I think everyone deserves recognition, depending on the effort that you put in. Right, and like it sounds like you put in a lot of effort, but sometimes because you're sort of like the quiet achiever, right? So you're there working away, and it's like perhaps they're giving you the rest round simply because it's like you're better than the other people, and it's like those other people need it more.
No. There's plenty of ways I would try to rationalize it, but no, it's literally like at that time anyway. I got over it because like I still think of those things. I'm like get mad. It makes me mad.
Yeah,
because it was clearly like, okay, I was the least important one, so I had to sit out.
Yeah, okay.
It was clearly like, well, I want better rounds for these guys, so like change partners. There was no other way of rationalizing it. It wasn't that I was the better one and got to take a rest.
Okay.
No, but like, because I remember when I got my blue belt and like it was, the gym I was at, like it wasn't very traditional. It was pretty cool. Like I was lucky it wasn't, but the coach was still Brazilian and like he'd still use some of the same like class formats and stuff like that. And then he got so after I got promoted to blue belt, he just separated the class. He was like, okay, like colored belts on one side, white belts on one side. I'm going to do like king of the mat. And I was on the colored belt side because I just got my blue belt. And he singled me out and he goes, you go with the white belts.
Oh.
I was actually like mad. I was upset. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, it's because like some of them are lighter. But it was because there was another girl in that line.
Yeah.
But that made me mad. I was like, what is the point of you?
Yeah.
Why did you give me my blue belt if you're then going to literally single me out and put me in the white belt line just because there's another girl in the line? And then he's like, oh, but there's people that are more your size. I'm like, whatever. Maybe mad.
So then obviously, needless to say, you don't train there anymore, right? Or you do?
No, I don't train there anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like that gym was like good in its heyday. I think it was, when I went there, it was like past its heyday, I think. But like over time, I feel like they didn't, I don't want to say anything bad. I feel like my needs exceeded what they were able to offer kind of thing. Like definitely need more training partners, like stuff like that.
You've gotten to do, like travel and like train in so many different places, right? Like, so I think like that's pretty amazing in itself, right? Like, you obviously, you do spend some of your own money to go and do those things, right? But I guess, for you having, visited so many different places, you've tried so many different martial arts. Are there any things that you think make a gym stand out versus not?
A good culture, I think. There's a certain type of a culture. I can't speak for everybody because there's a certain type of culture that appeals to me. Some people will like other things. So I think my favorite gym, it surprised people to hear me say it, but I think my favorite gym, I just really liked the culture, was London Grapple. Because they're a bit like grappling education. It's very like, they're very friendly. So you don't walk in and everyone's like, oh, there's someone from another gym. Because they get a lot of visitors. So they get other people from other gyms coming in quite often.
Yeah.
But they're very welcoming, like, and the level is very good. So they're like, a lot of guys, like lighter guys, are very technically just good. Like the rounds were great. And it's very casual. There's no like, you can't wear this, you can't do that. I honestly hate gyms with stupid rituals. I don't see the point in traditions, and I also don't see the point in meaningless traditions that nobody questions because it's just what people do. That annoys me about people, because if you ask them, why do you do this? They probably don't know. That annoys me. It's like, if you have a specific reason that's not just, oh yeah, we just do that because we just do, then it's pointless and it's a waste of time. So like, they don't have all that stuff. From the time I was there, at least, it didn't appear to be cliquey. I'm very strongly opposed to, or I'm very strongly averse to, should I say, like cliquey places. Because I don't want to go to the gym to socialize at all.
You're there to do work.
I want to enjoy people's company while I'm there, but I don't want to be in groups of like people socializing or using the gym for like gossip. Like, as soon as there becomes gossip or like too many interpersonal relationships, I don't like it. Yeah, I really don't like it.
Yeah.
So I felt like it was a healthy environment. It was good for training. People are the jiu-jitsu, like autistics, like that's the best.
Yeah.
So they're like people that, no, I won't say anything, but I was going to say like the people that don't have girlfriends, they're just like at the gym all day long talking about jiu-jitsu, like perfect. Yeah, and they're really good. I won't say that because some of them had girlfriends and wives and like boyfriends and so on. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're still all at the gym every day.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, but everyone's it's just friendly. I feel like I don't like the kind of gym culture where there's a lot of I think it's more common than not. I think I was very lucky. Like the place that I started, Boxing Works, like where I started at, it was like that too. Like they didn't target people from other gyms. They didn't care about what you wore or whatever. But like so many other gyms do. Or like if you come from somewhere else, it'd be like, oh, that guy's from like somewhere else. Go give him a hard time.
Yeah.
Or like make him prove himself, like that kind of thing. That's stupid to me.
I'm a glutton for that. I like that stuff.
Really?
Yeah. Or when I guess when I'm on the receiving end, I don't do it to other people.
Oh.
Yeah, but
yeah, people done it to me. I don't really mind because it gives you a harder roll. It gives you a good roll.
Yeah.
But it's just the attitude. Like, I don't mind if you give me a hard roll or like pick someone good for me to roll with. I'm flattered that you do, if they do. But like, I don't like the, it's from another gym. Show him who's boss.
Yeah.
So childish.
Well, sometimes it's like the mentality is like showing somebody respect is, giving them a hard role. Like, depends on the gym. Like every gym has a different feel on it and a different vibe to it. Like
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Some gyms do it in malice, and some gyms actually do it because like that's actually the respectful way to do things.
Give them a hard role.
Yeah. So like, that was my experience when I started doing my kickboxing at JNS. It was like I got dropped 3 times with body shots in my first sparring session with Zane, and it was just like, fuck, like do these guys just not like me? And it was like, well, no, I realized that was like, their way of like showing me the respect. Like, you're a guy that's done martial arts for how long? So they want to know where you're at. And, so I learned over time that's, that was just the way that they do things. And then like I've visited other places and I've realized, okay, some places have that vibe, right? And you got to know what the vibe is. If it's malicious, it's malicious. Like, don't get me wrong, there are places where it's probably definitely malicious, but like I like the fact that, they intentionally chose body shots as opposed to headshots it's a good indicator that it's not malicious, right? If it's not like, you're getting like head kick KO'd 10 seconds in the first round, like it's a real fight. It was like, we're moving, we're sparring, the intensity's going up, and boom, it was just a good time shot. Yeah. So then
it's like, do you think though that see, I didn't think of it like that, but it kind of, it sounds to me a bit like the type of gym where, like my old gym was a bit like that too, where I feel like you couldn't do this anywhere. You couldn't do this in a workplace or like whatever, like that's not a martial arts gym. Like you sort of want to show the person who's boss. Maybe it's different actually. But yeah, like you go a bit hard on them and you like hit them a bit harder on their first go. Like it's like a hazing. Do you not feel like that's a bit, I don't know, it just seems outdated to me.
I think it depends on the class you go into.
People accept this because they think, oh yeah, this is old school. Yeah. Old school just means like it's just outdated nonsense. Like it's old, or like we've gotten past that now. I feel like that we can move on from like beating people up to talk about this like weird, this esoteric concept of respect. Like you could do things in a better way that doesn't lead to the person feeling like you just gave me a beating, but like it's not malicious, but that's just how things are done. I don't feel like it necessarily has to be done that way. You could have come out of that where you learnt a bit more. I feel like at the very least for me, just in general, hard sparring is not very useful.
Yeah, like I've definitely moved on from hard sparring, but I think it's only because I've done that many hard sparring rounds that I can, I've done what I've needed to from the hard sparring.
Me too, but I also feel like when I've done so much, all sparring used to be just hard, and it's like you're getting hit by like heavy people. My head felt the effects. And I do actually feel like if I didn't need to get hit that hard in the head. Like if I had spent a lot more time, when I pulled back and focused on not going so hard and focusing on volume, speed, movements, specific techniques, combinations, got so much better.
Yeah. The hard part is the control factor.
I didn't need to get hit in the brain.
Yeah, well, I think the hardest part is the control factor. Like I can spar with really high intensity but not hurt the people that I'm sparring with because I got good control. But not everybody has that control. And unfortunately, when some people get touched, the ego gets involved, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to get you back. And even if I've hit somebody but I haven't hurt them, it's like they just don't have the control to be able to pull the shot. Yeah,
but that's their fault. Like that's not you. That's them not being very good sparring partners.
Yeah, but that's majority of people that start combat sports. Like everybody starts shit. They're shit. Like let's be real.
But
there's nobody that starts and has phenomenal control.
Yeah, but then you don't choose. I wouldn't choose to train with those people. I guess like I'm thinking at a certain level, I wouldn't want to train with certain people.
Yeah.
Because they have no control, just like jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't care if you go hard. I care if you have control. You can go hard. As long as you're controlled, that's fine. You can smash me. You're like, you crush me. You smash me sometimes. I'm like, I don't care. Like, but you're controlled. Yeah. I don't feel like, oh, no, something's going
to break.
Yeah, I'm going to come out of this, like, I don't know.
I was thinking about, like, the queso that I got you with, and then I was just like, is she going to tap? Like, I was looking at, again, this is like an example of
embarrassed.
Janice's deadpan face. I'm like, got you fully, like, locked up with this cradle, and I'm looking at you, and I'm thinking, is this working? Like, do I give up or do I just keep going with this? And like, you just like staring at me. And then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll wait like another, 10 seconds or something and see what happens. And then I was like, thank goodness. Like, I was like thinking, fuck, is my pressure that shit? Like,
I actually think that's the first time I've been tapped with a Keza. That's not Kel. Kel doesn't count.
Yeah, Kel doesn't count.
No.
Yeah, like he's got like 30 kilos on us.
Yeah, no, but Kel's just like, that's his move.
Yeah.
But like, I'm going to make an excuse and say that like my lung capacity was already low. I was fatigued. No, it was legit. But I also didn't defend. I feel like sometimes I have been able to defend it and I just didn't do anything. And then I thought, oh shit.
Yeah, you're just there staring at me deadpan, and I'm just thinking, oh, it's not working. Maybe it's not working. You know?
Have you ever tried that though? That's a good strategy.
It is a great strategy. It works.
Because if you, someone did it to me like ages ago. Like I tried to ankle lock them, and then he just looked at me and like no expression, and it makes you want to give up.
Yeah,
it's like psyching them out because they're making you feel like it's not on. That's why I try and do that to people. I'm like an idiot about not tapping to things, but I will, with the leg stuff, I'm pretty like, I'll let it go until I feel like it's going to break. Like I'll defend till the last second. So I need to know that I can defend.
Yeah. Well, you need to also know that your partner's controlled too, right? Like,
yeah. Like if they rip it on, like, yeah, I'll tap.
Yeah.
But then it will just come on faster.
Yeah.
But like I'll let people ankle locks until if it makes me make a face, you've hurt me.
It's too late.
But like I feel like people will give up because you just like it could be like this close to getting the tap, and you just look at them like, and like they'll probably let go.
That's it.
But just be careful your leg doesn't actually break.
Yeah, I just tap. I
no, I won't.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. All right. Well, we already they've just started their other gi class, so we better wrap up. We'll keep going. But if people want to find you, how do they find you? Footdojo.com.
You don't. Oh, footdojo.com. You don't find me. I'm on Instagram, I guess. It's cutie pie666.
Why 666? The devil's number.
The only other choice was 69. Like,
yeah, well,
that was the only other available number, and it was, yeah.
That's a pretty fun one.
I thought it was too overt. All the other numbers were taken.
Really?
Yeah.
What? So like,
literally every number and like
1, 2,
every
3,
number in
4,
existence
5.
was all taken.
Okay, up to 666 or
only
69?
666 and 69 were available.
Wow.
In the whole inventory of numbers.
Well, I would have thought if you were the 69th person that wanted the user handle cutie pie, you'd just run with it.
I don't know if I was the 69th person. I'm not telling the truth.
Okay.
I don't know if this is the case. It might be true. I didn't go through all the numbers.
All right. Thanks, everyone.